books, and it took the final 81 seconds to find out what all 8 playoff matchups would be. As the LA Kings score a power play goal with 1 minute and 21 seconds remaining, they tie Chicago in regulation, and that's all they needed. At that point, they could have lost in overtime, didn't matter, because the 1 point put them in a tie with Vegas, who lost to Anaheim earlier last night. And the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers, for the 3rd year in a row, will do battle in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Welcome to the Gregor Show, presented as always by PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, it's playoffs. Everybody's getting in. And I know many of you listen to the show. How about this? Third of the month for the playoffs, use the promo code Gregor50 and you will get a $50 free sports bet on your next deposit. You don't have to be a first-time user. This is for all of you who have supported us in PlayAlberta.ca. So a little bit of playoff bonus for you. Use it wisely. Use it smartly. Use the promo code Gregor50. Pretty simple. And you'll get a free $50 wager at PlayAlberta.ca. They also have the 10 times odds boosts on every Oilers playoff game, so you want to check that out as well. The Oilers playoffs will begin Monday against the Los Angeles Kings. The NHL playoffs begin tomorrow, baby. Can't wait. You have the Islanders and Carolina. That's the first game. Gets going in around probably 3:15 Edmonton time, and then Toronto in Boston. That's the late game. It'll be 6 o'clock Edmonton time. So you're going back like old school days. If you were somebody who's, definitely 40s or 50s, you remember Hockey Night in Canada. It used to only be one game. Always was at 6 o'clock Mountain time. Mainly it was Toronto and Montreal. That's how it used to be for the longest time. But every now and then Edmonton would squeeze in a game there. Well, especially when they played in Toronto or Montreal. So this Saturday, you're going old school. 6 o'clock. Hockey Night in Canada. Like I remember as a kid, Hockey Night in Canada on Saturdays was the one time that we were allowed to have dinner with the TV. Never that's fun. Like my mom, my parents, like they like sports, but didn't matter. Regular season, no. But you could get the odd Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. We'd have dinner. The TV would be on. And I remember Don Cherry, like at first intermission, man, we'd watch Grapes. Because back then, Grapes was a beauty. Right? He was super proud Canadian. He was always pumping up the Canadians. They loved it. He pulled no punches back in the day. Like in his heydays in the 80s, man, even the early 90s, Don was a legend. It was awesome. So the 6 o'clock start, that's what I think about. So should be a lot of fun. Then on Sunday, 4 games. You'll have Tampa in Florida, then Washington and the Rangers at 1 o'clock Edmonton time. Colorado, Winnipeg will get going at 5. And then the late game will be Nashville and Vancouver. And just one final time, I won't beat the dead horse. I know it's dead. I beat it many times. But here's the prime reason why the NHL needs to make one small, simple little change to their playoff format. There is zero reason that Dallas and Vancouver, the top 2 seeds, get punished and now have to have way more travel because Nashville and Vegas are separated by 1 point. So Vancouver flies all the way to Nashville, which is like over 2,000 miles, rather than just taking a short little jaunt from Vancouver to Vegas. Same with Dallas. Instead of going to Nashville, now they got to travel all the way to Vegas, 2 time zones. And you know who else gets screwed out of this? Fans of the Stars, fans of the Preds. You know when their games will be starting? 9:25, 9:50 some nights, Central Time. It's brutal. It's brutal. So NHL, simple fix. When it's 4-4, there should be no crossover. I don't care about the point totals. I don't care. What are you worried about 1 or 2 points? Give me a break. It shouldn't matter. That's the only beef. And you know what else doesn't matter? Last night's Oiler game. People are all fired up about it. Come on. You knew when the game started, the coach outlined what they thought about the game. No McDavid, no Draisaitl, no Hyman, no Nugent-Hopkins, no Kane, no Bouchard, no Ekholm. Come on, that's your top 7 point getters out of the lineup. You think they were going to win? You think they were taken serious? No chance. Not at all. And yes, Stuart Skinner, Faced some rubber early on, didn't have a chance on quite a few of the goals, played 20 minutes. Did you see his reaction? He wasn't upset. Come on. He could have played the second and third, no problem, because the Avalanche, they got their 140 points for Nathan McKinnon. There wasn't much else to play for. But the regular season is now in the rearview mirror, as quick as it was, and now you focus on the regular season, on the playoffs, and it's going to be a hell of a run. The Edmonton Oilers come in as one of the favorites. We'll get to our picks. We'll get your thoughts on who you like in the series and a lot of other things. We'll preview some of the other series today on the show. We'll start out with the first playoff series that begins, of course, the Islanders in Carolina. So Cory Lavalette will join us. Tater's by with the 2-minute warning. James Duthy from TSN Hockey will be by. Brownie, of course, in studio co-hosting. Brad Malone, longtime member of the Oilers organization. Of course, played some time here in Edmonton, but mainly was a main guy for them in the American League. He is retiring at the end of the season. The Bakersfield Condors, they got a good team. Now, they won't have Dylan Holloway. That's a fairly big blow for them in the playoffs, but they will get Broberg back. He was sent back down today, which makes sense. They don't need two defensemen sitting in the press box every night here when he can be playing big minutes and getting a lot of experience down there. And if there's an injury, obviously they would call him back up. So I'll talk to him. Derek Laxdal, who is the Oshawa Generals head coach. Talk a little NHL and AHL with Derek. Craig Button will be by. We got Spec, Lowetide, also another edition of Here Comes the Sun, where one of you will qualify to win a $15,000 solar system installed on your home, courtesy of Action Electrical. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour today. So, man, it is jammed, packed, lots of hockey talk. Talk a little NBA playoffs. I love playoffs, man. I don't care the sport. Look it up, man. It's great. I follow the NBA. I don't follow it as closely as I do the regular season in the NHL. But, man, you come playoff time, channel surfing all over the place. It's amazing. NBA games, NHL games, every night. It's awesome. It's where you kind of, now this is where you hope that your partner, your spouse is into sports as much as you. And they're like, hey, do you want to watch it with me? If not, you're like, you know what? I'll make sure that I get whatever chores you need done, but there'll be a lot of sports watching and listening to and a lot of sports talk over the next few months. It's great. I am so pumped for the playoffs. I love it. Like it's so funny how yesterday you're like, just let's get through the slog of the regular season. Now it's done. And you move on and we're ready to roll. So I know there was some consternation, but trust me, there's zero reason to waste more than 1 second thinking about last night's Oilers games. It's irrelevant. It has zero bearing, zero impact on what's going to begin starting on Monday. So the Oilers and the Kings, and they were 81 seconds away from being the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. That's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. I don't know how many of you were watching that game. LA was up 3-1. And then looked like they might have spit the bit. They gave up 3 goals to the 31st place Blackhawks in a span of 5 minutes. And people are like, the Kings are losing on purpose. I'm like, I don't think they're losing on purpose. I don't think they're that good. I'll just start out. We're doing predictions. Oilers in 5 over LA this year. It was 7 2 years ago. It was 6 last year. Edmonton knows how to play LA. And I'll say this. The Oilers are going to do something that they haven't done very well lately. Win game 1. They're going to win game 1 against the LA Kings. That's going to set up. It's just a different time. The Oilers have been the best home team in the NHL under Chris Knoblauch. They've been the best team in the NHL, but they've been a super dominant home team under Chris Knoblauch. I see zero reason why that will change once the playoffs begin. Nothing. Like this Oiler team is, at least in my time, which is coming up now on, I want to age myself, 23 years in the industry. This is the best Oiler team I've seen. And by far, the 2006 team, I know they went to the Cup. No one thought they were going to the Cup when the playoffs started. No one thought they were a Cup contender when the regular season started. Lots of people had everybody had the Oilers picked. There's not one person who picked the Oilers to miss the playoffs this year. In any prognostication I've seen, no one would have, and they didn't. They're a good team. Now it's up to them to play up to their potential. And I think they've learned from the last few years The biggest improvement we've seen from Edmonton all season long is their ability to defend 5-on-5. They're a lot more consistent there, and that's why I agree that they're going to be good, man. They are going to be good. Hey, Gregor, obviously all the playoff teams are great, especially the ones in the West, but you have to think the Oilers are being gifted an easier path to the Final Four than we could have imagined. That Central Division plus Vegas looks like a bloodbath from Mark. Yes, I'm not in the Vegas train. I know they're the defending champs. I have zero belief that Vegas is going to make it a tough series for Dallas. I could be wrong, but I think the Dallas Stars, who have been very good, are going to show the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights, to me, are going to go out with less of a whimper than last year's defending Stanley Cup champs, the Colorado Avalanche, did. Remember the Avs lost in the first round, 7 games to Seattle? This team, and that was an upset, by the way. This team, Dallas, they're not Seattle. They're a very good team. And Vegas, even down the stretch, Vegas in their last 20 games, 3.3 goals against. They haven't defended well all year long. I really don't care if Mark Stone comes back. Yeah, he's an emotional guy. Get him all fired up. Is it going to be the key to get their defense playing great? I don't think so. So honestly, I see Dallas and Edmonton as the 2 shortest series in the Western Conference. Cons, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with you on that one. I think, going back to Vancouver and Nashville, Nick just asked about that. The Canucks were 3-0 in this series during the season, but that was really before the Nashville Predators hit their stride and found their game. So I think that one is going to be a little bit tougher than some people might think. For the Edmonton Oilers, I do think they have found out a better way to play that 1-3-1 suffocating system that the LA Kings like to play. They've got the offense defensively. They've really started to find their game. And the Dallas Stars, to me, are just a wagon. Like, absolute great depth. Defensively, they're strong. And Jake Ottinger, we've seen what he can do in the playoffs. We can see how good he has been. His save a couple of nights ago, one of the most effortless saves. He might have given up on the play, but he made one heck of a save. I really like that Dallas Stars team. So I would agree with you. I think that those 2 series probably could go the shortest distance. Colorado, Winnipeg. That's going to be a bloodbath. I can't wait to watch that one.
Who do you like in that series?
Colorado, Winnipeg. I'm going to lead Colorado, and that's tough for me because I think Connor Halley is a guy who can absolutely steal a series.
You're taking Colorado.
I'm going to go Colorado.
Oh, all right.
I'm going to find a way to dig deep and show some of that, I guess, that playoff grit that they've shown in years past. But who knows? When we make our official predictions, maybe I'll flop. Connor Halley, he's the X factor. He can steal you a series. Oilers fans know that as good as anyone.
Yeah, I actually have Winnipeg in 6 in that series. Colorado has given up way too much, and they have a clear disadvantage in goal. I don't think there's any question on that. I think Winnipeg actually has better depth. Colorado has the 2 best forwards in the series, no question. But after that, Winnipeg's depth from 1 through 12 is better. And, Adam Lowry he's one of the few third-line centers in the league that teams are comfortable consistently playing against the other team's top lines. And that gives your top line a big mismatch advantage in a series, because now that means the Jets' top line is going to get to go up against the second or third line in Colorado. And they're obviously not as good as Colorado's top line. Now, could the Avs do what the Oilers did in 2022 when their top guys just carried them for a few rounds? Yes, they could. Nathan McKinnon's that good. 140-point player. Only the 12th guy in NHL history to do it. Joins Kucherov this year, McDavid last year, then the likes of Gretzky and Lemieux and Esposito and Nichols and Oates, and go through the list. Some really good players. But Winnipeg, I like their depth. I think Winnipeg is going to give them a real good run. The whiteout's going to be crazy in Winnipeg. And the Jets, remember, the Jets were in first place in the NHL for a while in January and February. Then they stubbed their toe a little bit, but they've come back now, won 8 in a row. So I like it. Hey, guys, I think Dallas sweeps them from Titan. Yeah, see, I kind of like the courage to want to call a sweep. It's hard. I would think Vegas could find a way to win 1 game at home. And just even you can win in 5, doesn't mean that they might not be 3-2 games and they'll be close. But I just like Dallas is really good. I think Dallas, if I had to pick today in the Western Conference, the toughest challenge the Oilers will have will be getting by Dallas if they can get to the 3rd round. And I think Dallas will get there. That's going to be an epic matchup. But Edmonton against LA, way more confident. Edmonton against the winner of Vancouver, Nashville, I don't think they'd have much issue. But Dallas or the Jets, even Colorado, obviously would be a lot harder. But I think it's going to be Dallas. So we'll see. We'll go through a lot of our picks later on in the show. Got a lot of texts at 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Get to all that and more. And hey, we'll start some playoff previews, baby. Nothing better than starting. There is the ultimate Cinderella story. We'll find out who it is. What are their chances? Next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
I go.
You didn't invite him to the fantasy charity.
It was a slip up. We're brought to you by Papa John's. Order your favorite pizza or pizzas and use promo code Gregor and get 20% off all day, every day at papajohns.ca.
$2.23. Welcome back. Positive Friday on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, just launched for the playoffs, baby. And if you use the promo code, if you go there on any wager, but use the promo code Gregor50, and you will get a free $50 wager at PlayAlberta.ca. Existing users, new users, anybody, enjoy it. Good luck. Don't waste it. Be smart. Be smart at PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, the Oilers will begin their quest for the cup on Monday night against the LA Kings. It'll be, let's be honest, closer to an 8:20 puck drop on Monday and Wednesday. Good thing it's Friday night because it's in LA, so automatically it's a later 1 hour. So, but probably won't be a puck drop till closer to like 8:50 our time on Friday and Sunday. So. And if you bosses out there, you might want to tell your staff, hey, why don't you work an hour later on Friday, and then you can come in an hour later on Monday? Is that not a good negotiation? Right? Yeah, sure. I'll work till 6 on Friday. Then I don't have to come in till 9 on Monday because it's going to be a late night. So just a thought, right? To each their own. Maybe you don't like it, but it's an idea. We'll see. Let's go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's, and the Mick Cafe Cold Brew is here. Smooth, satisfying, and irresistibly sippable. You can try it with French vanilla or caramel cream today only at McDonald's. And the first NHL playoff series to drop the puck in 2024 will be the Carolina Hurricanes hosting the New York Islanders. That will go tomorrow at around 3 o'clock Edmonton time. And to break it down, longtime beat reporter for the Carolina Hurricanes, Cory Lavalette joins us. Cory, how you doing, my man?
Doing well. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm pretty good. I actually, funny enough, my Stanley Cup prediction has a 2006 rematch, so we'll see if that comes to fruition or not. The Hurricanes have been a good team for a long time, Cory. Everybody's seen it. Jake Gensel seems to have given them that one kind of missing piece. I've always felt they kind of missed that game breaker, and he's really seemed to added some to their offense. That top line. Tell me about just why they were able to gel so quickly and become so dominant of a top line in Carolina.
I think the big thing, Jason, is Jake Gensel is kind of in the same vein as, Seth Jarvis and Sebastian Aho. They're not necessarily guys who are going to dangle around 7 guys and create an amazing play to score. They're grinders with skill, and I think that's why Jake Gensel was so good for so long with Sidney Crosby was, they kind of have the same DNA, and that's what, Sebastian Aho has and what Seth Jarvis has proven to have. So you've got 3 guys who aren't, the biggest guys in the world, but they all play bigger than they are. And then they're all smart, all skilled, can all finish, can all pass. It's it's been a really impressive how quickly he's really gelled with those guys.
Yeah, it's been impressive. You look at the Canes and, they've been a good team for a long time, Cory. Some would argue and say, man, like there's not a lot of difference. They got a lot of depth. They got good defense, right? I guess there's always the wild card about health in goal for this team. And when Freddie Anderson, since he's come back from injury, my goodness, he's been excellent. And I wonder if in a weird way, the fact that he was out so long might be a blessing because he might be able to be healthier longer in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely had his injury troubles. I think, one of the weird things of this year is everyone wanted to say, after he was re-signed, well, what did you expect? Of course he was going to miss a bunch of games, but, it wasn't an injury. a medical thing that, could happen to any of us, and it's kind of an entirely different situation altogether. And it probably would have been easy for him to say, maybe it's in my best interest not to play anymore. But to his credit, he worked really hard to get back. It took a while. I mean, that's understandable. Once you get on blood thinners, you're definitely you're on the shelf for a while until you can get that under control. But that's why, he was our Masterton nominee this year, was just because he worked really hard to get. He's been spectacular, and then Pyotr Kochetkov has been nearly equally as spectacular. So you've gone from playing a ECHL goalie for a minute there, a rookie, in Yannis Peretz, who Rod Brindamore obviously knew well from playing at Quinnipiac with his son on that championship team last year, to him backing up and getting just a minute in the NHL there, to now I think you've got two guys that, you feel really good about, and then two more guys that if you have to play them in Spencer Martin and Antti Ranta, you're not terrified putting them in net.
Yeah. So who do you think is are they going to ride Anderson? Do you think that's it? Or what do you think their plan is for the goaltending?
Rod's not tipping his cards yet about it. My gut says he's not the kind of guy who wants to alternate goalies. He's said in the past, everybody wants to have a guy. He's not scared to switch goalies, but I don't know that he's necessarily the type of guy who would buy into alternating goalies every other game. It also helps a little bit that there's a little break between games 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we go, there's 2 days off. So if you want to play Anderson, through those first 4 games, it's not going to be, 4 games in 7 days or anything.
Cory Lavalette joins us, beat reporter for the Carolina Hurricanes. They host the Islanders. I look at a team that, I think might has the least chance to win a series. It's close between the Capitals and the Islanders. And I might even say the Islanders because I think I like Carolina better than the Rangers 5-on-5. So give me any reason that the Islanders concern Carolina.
There's talent at the top of the roster, right? You've got guys who, in Bo Horvat and Matthew Barzal, who are game-breaking players. And then Brock Nelson always seems to play well against Carolina. Noah Dobson, as long as he's ready to go, has had a breakthrough year. So, you look at the special teams battle, and the Hurricanes have the best special teams in the NHL. They're number 1 on the penalty kill, number 2 on the power play. And then the Islanders are last on the penalty kill. So, what would need to happen for the Islanders is they either need to make this a 5-on-5 series and hope they can somehow match Carolina's depth, which might be tough to do, or hope that for whatever reason they can get their power play going. And then, Carolina gets into one of the funks that maybe they're prone to get into on the power play and try to win the series on special teams. But that's a pretty big ask, I would say, for a team that's struggled on special teams all year like the Islanders.
Yeah, well, 100%. That's been their problem. Now, I give them credit. They won their way into the playoffs, right? The other team struggled. They opened the door, and the Islanders rode in on it and dominated. It's interesting that, Varlamov played a lot of those big games for the Islanders, Cory. What is he starting tomorrow? Do you know? Is it going to be Sorokin, have they said?
There's no word yet as to who will start. And, there's some question marks around J.G. Pageau and whether or not he'll be ready. And that would obviously be a big loss for New York as well. Both those goalies are, obviously Sorokin is one of the best goalies in the world. Didn't have the greatest season. But, you don't want to assume he's going to be average because I don't think that'll be the case. But then you're right. Semyon Varlamov has been spectacular down the stretch for them. The veteran guy and, has shown he can, take a job and be dominant. So, that's a concern too. Obviously they have good goaltending and they have options. So, any series in the NHL, right? If a goalie gets crazy hot, something crazy can happen. But the goaltending there is something to watch for sure.
Looking at, you got Sebastian Aho. Jordan Stahl is on their third line, but takes a lot of tough minutes for them. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Nate Cash, and Teravainen. The two wingers have had good years. Kotkaniemi had a decent start, then really fell off. You have confidence in his game? Is there a chance that, Kuznetsov could knock him out of there at some point? I know he hasn't necessarily blowing the doors off lately either, but how concerned are they about that kind of second line center spot, even though I know Stalin, Svechnikov, and Martinuk are kind of the quasi second line? What do you make of Kotkaniemi's play and where he's fitting in right now?
Yeah, until Jesper Foss got hurt the other night in the season finale on a weird play with Eric DeBranson, Kotkaniemi was scratched.
Yeah.
But then KK came in and played, the last couple games of the season, played well. And I think Rod, I asked Rod about it today, and he kind of dodged me a little bit. But I think, the thing for KK is this is a chance to kind of reset your season. I thought he played well his last couple games. I thought he played well, the last 15 games of the season when he was in. It's just a matter of him, being focused on, not trying to overdo it a little bit. Everybody, you see players like that all the time who maybe when they get in the funk, they look for a perfect play. Jesper needs to shoot the puck when the chances are there and, just be, not make mistakes. He sometimes neutral zone passes and stuff, maybe a little too risky. So, it'll be interesting to watch.
Cory Lavalette joins us. Carolina Hurricanes, New York Islanders. Game 1 goes tomorrow at 3:00 Edmonton time. You look at the back end, man, like there's really no Dmitry Orlov's in your third pair, for goodness sakes, although he's not really a third pair defenseman by any stretch. But, when you look at matchups at all, is there a matchup you expect Rod Brind'Amour to really try to get, or is he not that concerned against the Islanders?
I think the one thing he has always in his back pocket is he likes to use Brett Pesce and Brady Shea as kind of his shutdown pairing. And then when you don't have them on the ice, chances are you have Jacob Slavin on the ice, who, erases a lot of mistakes himself. And then, you mentioned Dmitry Orlov, and Jalen Chatfield himself has had a really good season. So yeah, I mean, I think he'll match for sure. And, I think the benefit he has is, like I said, to have Jacob Slavin not on your shutdown pairing necessarily. And then also, if you don't want to, double down against one particular line, you can always put Jordan Staal out against whoever's not going against, Brett Pesce and Brady Shea. And, you kind of can't lose in that sense as far as how you match up against those teams.
Give me your thoughts on this series, Core. I think it's a short series. I have the Islanders losing in 5. What about you?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think the old gentleman's sweep, as they like to say. I don't know that the Islanders have the firepower necessarily to keep up with the Hurricanes, and it's going to be they're going to have their hands full. The depth the Hurricanes have when Evgeny Kuznetsov is your fourth line center. How do you match up with that if you're the Islanders, really? Even if he hasn't played like the Kuznetsov of the Capitals Stanley Cup run yet, are you really going to bet against that guy being a difference maker? So, yeah, I think it's going to be tough, for sure for the Islanders. And the Hurricanes, look like a team that kind of, I wrote about it in The Athletic today. This is a little bit of a last dance scenario. They have plenty of pieces to remain competitive after this year, but at the same time, there are a lot of faces that are probably going to be gone, and guys who have been here for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see if they can use that as a rallying point.
Lastly, about Kuznetsov, how's he looked overall?
He's had his moments. He looks really good on the second power play unit. I think today at practice, he was kind of had everybody in a huddle, and he was kind of telling everybody where to go. He has that experience. And then we know, he can be a playoff performer, right? He was arguably the best player for the Capitals in that Stanley Cup season. Ovechkin, there was no way Ovechkin wasn't going to win the Conn Smythe, but Kuznetsov was a real difference maker. So, I mean, it hasn't been like Gensel with the kind of immediate clicking with the way the Hurricanes play. And it can be, especially defensively, it can be tough to get used to how Carolina plays, but the skill is there. I knew a little bit about the kind of guy he was and how kind of fun loving and loose he is. That could really help, in my mind, if things get tough, whether it's in this series or down the road. He's a really, really loose guy who he's always joking around and being funny. And so I'm curious to see what kind of impact he has, even if he's not a point per game player in the series or in the postseason. I think there's the potential there for him to lead in kind of a different way than anyone else does.
Well, Cory, enjoyed. Something tells me we'll be talking to you quite a bit here over the next few weeks and months. I expect a pretty deep run for the Carolina Hurricanes. Should be fun.
Yeah, and I know if it does come down to a 2006 rematch, we'll be banking a lot of airline miles, I guess.
Oh yeah. It's not a short jaunt from Carolina to Edmonton. Far from it. Appreciate your time. Have a great day, Cory.
Anytime, Jason. Appreciate it, man.
Betcha. There's Cory Lavalette joining us from Carolina. I like the Canes. Like, is anybody picking the? I like maybe even diehard. Maybe half the diehard Islander fans are picking the Islanders. Maybe half. Like, I honestly think of all the first round series, that would be the biggest upset for me. I would have them as number one upset, then Washington over the Rangers, pretty close second. After that, I'd probably put LA over Edmonton. Then Vegas over Dallas. Those would be, if any of those teams win, to me, those are the four biggest upsets. But there's two that are monumental in the Islanders and Washington, at least for me. So if you, do you see anybody else that you would consider like a really major upset? Like if Winnipeg wins or Colorado wins, I don't think either one's an upset. Toronto, Boston, no. I don't really think Tampa Bay is a huge upset over Florida. Even Nashville over Vancouver. That would probably be fifth for me, would be Nashville and Vancouver. 2:38, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Cam Tate will join us. Tater's sending his picks via email. We'll get to those. We got lots of yours and more on a busy Positive Friday edition. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca and just unveiled today. Use the promo code Gregor50 for anybody, not just first-time users, anybody. You'll get a free $50 wager at PlayAlberta.ca.
Truck Month is on now at Chevrolet. Get the 2024 Silverado 1500 RST at 0% financing for up to 60 months. With standard Chevrolet Safety Assist, plus a trailering package that includes an easy lift, power lock, and release tailgate, you'll be looking for any reason to get out on the road. Hey, spring cleaning? Need a truck? I can take those shelves. No? You sure? Okay. Michelle, you need a truck? Got a truck? See your Chevrolet dealer for more details.
Hey, Mikey. Johnny. Oh, we're going to do consignments, Mikey. Oh, consignment. We're going to sell a lot of stuff, Mikey. Oh, we just need all the people to bring them to us. And we don't even have any consignment fees. We're not going to rip you off at the beginning, just at the end. I know. No, we're not going to rip you off. We're going to sell your stuff. It'll be good. Anyways, Johnny and Mikey, the power team.
Edmonton Wholesale RV Depot in Atchison. See Donnie and Mikey today and visit ewrv.ca.
Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. It's our biggest sale of the year. For the month of April, every new and used vehicle that we have has been marked down and priced to sell. We have Ram trucks that are 25% off, brand new trucks, and we have hundreds to choose from. Even though we know our prices are great, every single offer will be considered. We will work to get you the best financing terms. We will pay top dollar for your trade. We will do what it takes to earn your business. It's our biggest sale of the year, and it's on now at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
Shift into spring with Murray's Truck Parts
Thank you,
Locators.
Jason.
He
Today,
has the
Cam
parts
reflects on the
knowledge
Oilers
like no
season
other.
and
Murray
how we
knows where
can,
to
if
find
we
what you
want,
need
learn
and get
lessons
them
and
fast with competitive
here are
pricing.
Cam's words.
That's Murray's
The
promise.
default
For
angle
truck
today for
inspections,
maybe.
puncher wheel alignments, and repairs that make your engine purr. Call Murray at 780-678-2128.
So if you or someone you know are having things
Murray's
not
Truck
good,
Parts Locators for your truck
You,
parts
my friend.
and repairs. Located just minutes west of Camrose in Urbic Subdivision.
The #1 singing impressionist in the world is coming to Edmonton, and he's
Thank you,
bringing
Jason.
all of his legendary voices with him.
Sports 14. Jason Gregor Show.
Don't miss on
2:41. Welcome back. Positive Friday. Oiler fans, what do you feel? Let's text in. Let's see how many predictions we'll get. Well, wait, what is your thoughts on the series? Oilers and the Kings. Who wins? How many games? And maybe for fun, who scores the first goal of the 2024 playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers? Who wins the series? How many games? First goal of the playoffs for the Oilers. Doesn't mean it's first goal of the series because obviously LA could score first. So let us know, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Let's get to the 2-minute warning. Cam Tate brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where as you plan your summer ahead, no interest, no payments for 1 full year on your AC unit right now. I know it's not that you don't think you need it today, but trust me, you'll need it very soon. So plan ahead at legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, of course, a longtime journalist in Edmonton, is in a wheelchair, has cerebral palsy, and has always wanted to be in radio, but unable to do so, except now through the wonders of the new technology. Cam has people speak his words in the 2-minute warning.
Thank you, Jason. Today, Cam reflects on the Oilers season and how we can, if we want, learn lessons and use fit for everyday situations. Here are Cam's words, the default angle today for observations on the Edmonton Oilers and where they are right now. And talk about the annual April agenda with those Los Angeles Kings. And on Monday, right after the morning skate, we'll dive into analysis and all that jazz with more numbers than the Canada Revenue Agency has at this time of year. Only 10 days remain for personal taxes to be filed. There's I don't know what the word is. Maybe safe? A safe intersection where sports, all kind of sports, not just professional, and everyday life comes together in a wonderful way which inspires us and has the glorious opportunity of changing our path, our course, our, dare I say, our destiny. It all starts by something we see from in sports and quietly ask, why can't I do the same? The start to the Edmonton Oilers season was a huge sports story. For all the wrong reasons, losing 8-1 on opening night to the Vancouver Canucks was a page of the script nobody, even the mailman, didn't see coming. The Oilers continued on a downward spiral, falling hard to the ice November 8th. In San Jose, losing 3-2 to the Sharks. A coaching change was made, and since then they have been the best team in the National Hockey League. It took hard work, it took discipline, it took creating their own opportunities. And perhaps more than anything, it took a belief from everyone that, yes, we can change. And they did, finishing second in the Pacific Division and grabbing home ice advantage. And oh yes, they finished 5. Count them there, Grandpa. 5 points behind the Vancouver Canucks. So if you or someone you know are having things not going your way and you think things are really going to be different, a lot different than you had imagined, I sincerely invite you to look at the past Edmonton Oilers season and how they are entering the playoffs, a season of opportunities. You, my friend, no matter your situation, can do the same. Your 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Monday, Friday. Jason Gregor Show.
There you go. Tater also wanted to contribute his picks in the series. He's taken the Canes in 5. Patrick Waugh has made some great saves, but he can't save this series from Tater. Leafs Bruins. It's a mindset that Leafs will forever have. They haven't won a cup since 67. Bruins in 6. Lightning Panthers. Florida has all the things they need for another deep alligator cup run. Panthers in 5. New York's been good all year. Rangers in 6. One name. Hellebuck. Jets are coming on. Jets in 7. The Tate upset special. The Preds will persevere with the long travel. Nashville in 7. The Vegas luck runs out big time in Texas. Stars in 5. And with the big guns rested in LA looking average, Oilers in 5 from Tater. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 series in 5 games He's got 2 7-gamers, the Jets and the Preds winning, and then the Bruins in 6. So there you go. Hey, guys, I'm not thrilled we're playing the Kings first. I would have liked some revenge against the Golden Knights. Oilers in 6. First goal, Hyman. Mark and St. Albert. And you know what, Mark? I told you, there's something different. Yeah, the Oilers have beat the Kings, but it doesn't have the same juice for me as Oilers Vegas would. Right? Like, Vegas right now is the heel in wrestling that a lot of people can't stand, right? They, there's the holding guys out a little extra longer so you can maximize your cap space come playoff time. There's the fact that, you know what, ever since they came in the league, and give them credit, the rules were there. They took advantage of the rules, had a really good draft, and have been a very competitive organization. And they beat the Oilers last year. Then you throw in the Pietrangelo slash. I just think there'd be more juice, Oilers in Vegas. But now the only way they would play is if they meet in the third round, because Vegas is now in the Central Division. They'll take on Dallas. If they upset Dallas, then they'll have to take on the winner of Vegas and Colorado. And to beat 2 of those teams, my goodness. If Winnipeg beats Colorado and then beats Dallas, they've earned their trip to the conference final. Now, Dallas has I don't see Vegas as this juggernaut team. There's no numbers that suggest they are at all. See what our next guest has to say about it. So we go in the room, brought to you by Next Gen Transportation, a heavy haul transport provider, 100% locally owned and operated, and huge sponsor and supporter of numerous youth sports teams. It's nextgentransportation.com from the TSN network. Of course, host of pretty much any sport he can do, James Duthy, joins us. James, welcome to the show, my man. How you doing?
Chase, I'm good. What more could you want? It's golf season. It's playoff season. It's my favorite time of year.
Can you rank, where's the temperature in Leafs Nation heading into this series?
This is, I live a sheltered life, first of all, okay? So when I get asked about the man on the street views, I'm not necessarily the best guy to do that. I live in a home in the country. I drive to work. I talk to the makeup artist and the 2 camera operators and who's ever on my panel, and I go home. I play golf with 3 guys. But the sense I would get, I don't think that there's the fear of the Bruins that, maybe existed before, even as soon as 5 years ago when they were playing back to back. And I think that's actually right.
Agreed.
I don't think if you look at this Bruins lineup, they're good and they may very well win the series. I haven't picked it yet. Actually, I had to pick my final 4 and cup winners, and I had neither Toronto or Boston in there. So I haven't actually picked this series, but I don't think the Bruins lineup, I think goaltending is a slight advantage there, depending on who they go with. I don't know if they're going to go back and forth like the regular season, which they did all last year and all this year, but they didn't do it in the playoffs last year. And by the time they went to Swayman in Game 7, it was too late. So I'm not sure how they're going to handle that. But I think this is actually, a really good shot for the Leafs. And I don't think that Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and company are going, oh no, it's the Bruins. So I think people are okay with it. I do think there's a bit of defeat. It's a defeatist attitude here. I don't know that the expectations for the Leafs are great this year, frankly.
Okay.
So overall, I don't think the expectations are huge from Leafs fans because they've been devastated too often. But I don't think they're like, oh no, we're going to lose to the Bruins in 4 for sure.
Yeah, the main question I think they'll have in Toronto is, and they've added guys, Bertuzzi, Domi, Benoit, Reeves. They have way more sandpaper in their lineup. But the question will be, does their top, because if you look at the teams who win, James, not only do they have skill, but usually some of their top guys got a bite to them, right? There's an edge to them. All right, Matthews is the guy who should have the most, in my opinion, and easily could have it. And I've seen it at times. Have you seen more of that? Do you think their core 4 is what's not available, but capable of bringing that extra sandpaper that usually you need from your top guys to win?
I don't think, Matthews a little bit, but no, you can't, these guys are too deep into their careers that Marner is never going to become Brad Marchand. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I would say no to Marner, no to Nylander. Tavares is who he is. Matthews, I think, has shown a little bit more of it this year, and he feels better with Domi around him.
Right.
And, even with Reeves, if he ends up playing the entire series around him. So I think there's more security that way. There's a little more confidence maybe to mix it up. But no, you're not changing the stripes on these guys this far in. So it's a matter of, I don't even think it matters that much. I don't think they have to have a ton of sandpaper. I think they have to score. And, Matthews has been a pretty good playoff performer. Marner has okay numbers, but I think there's probably the most pressure on him. Nylander's been a really good playoff player. So I think the most pressure is on Marner to perform. And the sandpaper can come from the other guys. And they obviously have to get support scoring from the other guys. But I think if you're depending on those four to have some sandpaper to win in the playoffs, I just don't think that's going to happen.
James Duthy joins us. How much pressure do you feel the coach? Because from an outsider looking, say if they don't win, it's like the new GM came in last year. This wasn't the guy coach. Like we've seen that a million times. But do you sense like Keefe's made some comments this year, James? Like saying that the chase for 70 was a distraction, which is like the complete opposite of what Tampa and Edmonton were saying about the quest for 100 assists. Like as an odd comment to me, but he's just.
I think he regretted that.
Yeah.
I think is one of those things that came out in the news conference, and you're right. It was a dumb thing to say.
Yeah. Do you sense though that he feel like is there heat on him? And
yes.
And how much on the core four? Like if they don't have success at least one round or two, will there be a significant move player wise in the offseason?
I think if they go out to the Bruins in 5, Keefe's probably gone, and you have to seriously look at like moving on from Mitch Marner, just because look, there's nobody else to move on from.
Right.
Nylander is signed long term. Matthews is signed long term. Tavares has one more year, and then he's gone unless he takes some sort of significant discount. So it's the only move you can make really. And I think there would probably be, especially if Marner doesn't perform, a lot of pressure to sort of make that move, I think. So I think Keefe and Marner are the two guys to watch if they go out early.
Boston, who are you expecting them to match up against, Matthews? Because that's the one thing that a lot of people like. There was always Patrice Bergeron, right? And Patrice Bergeron is one of the greatest two-way players ever, but he's gone. And I look at Toronto having a significant advantage down the middle in this series.
Well, not just that. I think they're really interesting. If you look at underlying stats, forget whoever they put up center-wise against them or what line they match up against them. But Charlie McAvoy will be on the ice against Austin Matthews, and I'm not a real like deep analytics guy, but this is one I was having a look at, and it's ludicrous in the games between Boston and Toronto where it's been McAvoy versus Matthews, which is most of the time on the ice. It is a ludicrous advantage for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like some crazy things like 36-4 chances and things like that. So it hasn't necessarily converted in goals.
Yeah.
But the play has been sizably towards Toronto. And so if that can manifest itself into domination of the playoffs, I don't think there's no reason it shouldn't be. Matthews should be able to dominate against the Boston Bruins. So again, that's putting heat on him. But so I'm not sure who they go with line matchup wise, but unless it's the one thing the Bruins have is Marchand is forever inside the heads of the Leafs, and like game one, if they get ahead, or he'll be scrumming and he'll be face washing Matthews and he'll be skating by the bench chirping, and if the Leafs should be used to this, and they should just roll their eyes at it. Yeah. But if it gets them, then that's the one place where they could be vulnerable.
Yeah, he's always been good at that, James Duthy.
He's so good at it.
Yeah, he is. He's incredible at it. But you know what? I will say this, like Bertuzzi, like Domi, they've got some guys that can mix it, and they're not scared. Like you saw Domi just all of a sudden he's going after a rookie who doesn't fight at all. I didn't like how you roughed up Matthews. He just starts feeding him like that. And I don't mind it. I'm archaic, but every now and then you got to say, you know what? 90% of the guys in the league don't want to fight. Maybe 95. So you know what? I'm going to go after the guys, even if they don't want to, and say, don't touch Matthews, even when it's not even egregious. What did you make of that play?
And the other thing, those guys at the beginning, those signings did not look good.
Yeah.
Domi had a really rough start. Bertuzzi did nothing for the first 3 months, but Bertuzzi really came on sort of starting in January, and Domi particularly when Marner was out and he was playing with Matthews, was excellent. And I think Matthews feels really good with Domi alongside of him, not just because he's a pretty good passer, but because of all the other stuff you mentioned. That he just, Domi, even though he's a little guy, will, if something happens to Matthews, will take care of it. And that for whatever reason, it goes back to Gretz, where like superstars love having that guy there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's weird that it's Max Domi, but I think it is for Austin Matthews. And I just think he feels, especially against a team like Boston, a lot better having him alongside.
James, give me your thoughts on the other Canadian teams. Let's start with Winnipeg. What do you like about the Jets? What do you think their chances are in that series against Colorado?
Well, I'm picking them, but I don't like it at all. I don't like when you dominate a team all season and then you play them in the playoffs. And that makes no sense, right? But it just feels weird that they completely own Nathan McKinnon and company. And I don't like when there's a chip on Nathan McKinnon coming in. The reason I picked the Jets, though, is I think that's of all the 8 series, that's the most sizable goaltending advantage, period.
Yeah.
Right? Colorado's a mess, and Hellebuck's awesome. So I think if you're looking for a decisive factor if there was one factor you have to pick in any of the 8 series, to me, that's the most decisive single factor in any of the series is Winnipeg's goaltending advantage over Colorado's.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with that. Vancouver and Nashville.
That one I think is, look, you do the same thing as me every year where you look at these series and there seem to be obvious results, and then we play 2 nights and you go, oh God, I didn't see this coming. And it happens every single year. And that one, I would say there's susceptibility to an upset just because of the way Nashville played ever since they canceled that stupid U2 concert. And they play kind of like a playoff team. And I think Vancouver's super talented. They had an awesome season. They got a great coach for the playoffs. But I just wonder, sort of first time as a kind of favorite, first time as a legit cup contender in a long time. I think that's often where you're ripe for an upset. So really close series. Canucks have more talent, but I think Nashville's going to give them fits.
And lastly, because we're here, Edmonton and LA, third time a charm, the Oilers and the Kings. What are your thoughts?
Not sucking up to the market, but we're doing a playoff preview show tonight, and I think for the second straight year, I picked the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. So I had trouble, but I went Oilers over Rangers. And I'm sorry, by the way, I'm in the studio and they're just blaring things around me, so I apologize. But so that's probably death to the Oilers because I'm pretty terrible at predicting these things. But I just love the way they changed the way they won games this year, I think. And look, it's a crapshoot. There's probably 10 legitimate contenders, but when I looked at it, I couldn't find a better option than the Oilers.
Oilers LA, I think Edmonton's way better than they've been in the past. And I think they know how to beat the Kings.
I also don't like, though, this is one of my silly hockey things. I don't like playing a team 3 times in a row when you beat them twice. And this time you're the heavy favorite. And those give me the heebie-jeebies, if I was an Oiler fan, right? This is the one, you've beaten them already a couple times. This is probably the heaviest favorite. You've been over them. The hockey gods don't like those kind of things. But, yeah, they should win.
James, one last one for you. Give me your thoughts on the Toronto Raptors and like what's going on there. Now, how long is this going to go on as far as retooling and how far away are they? Do you think to being competitive again?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the 3 to 5 years probably, and rebuilds only work about 25% of the time. Right? Like you can always say, okay, we got a rebuild going here. 3 to 5 years, we'll be a contender. Well, everybody does that.
Yeah.
And some teams are in rebuilds for 20 years, or they rebuild and the pieces they had aren't good enough. And so they have to rebuild again, and you get perpetual rebuilds. So I think it's a long road ahead. And I think that as the years go by, Raptors fans will really appreciate the unicorn that was the year that Kawhi Leonard came, right?
Yeah.
If you could somehow find another situation like that, where, you had some superstar who had to move on and you could get him for a year, half a year, or whatever. But that was just such a unique situation where you got, arguably the best player in the league or one of the top 3 at the time. And, knowing he was probably only going to be there for 1 year and he had all the right pieces around it. So, if they're able to draft well and get a couple of really nice accompanying pieces to what they have, and then 2 or 3 years, one of those elite players is available. But let's face it, in the NBA, you don't win unless you have like 2 superstars and a good supporting cast. And Scotty Barnes, I think, is going to be a great player. I don't know that he's going to be like a top 5, 7 player in the league. So I think they're in for a rough, at least probably half a decade ahead, which depresses me to say. Because I was lucky enough to be in Oakland when they won that title, and it was one of the coolest moments of my career. But I think it's probably the only time I'll witness them winning, because I'll probably be long gone. They'll kick me out of here long before the Raptors win again.
Yeah. James, great stuff as always, man. Hope things are well. We'll talk again soon.
Enjoy the playoffs, buddy. Thank you.
You betcha. That's James Duthy from TSN. When we return, 3:00, Sean Brown will join us after Connor Halley in a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. And they got some new flavor. Do you like strawberries? If you like strawberries, you got to get the Booster Juice. Try the new Strawberry Blush Smoothie or the Strawberry Serentini Teaser or the Strawberries and Cream Booster Ball right now at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The NHL playoffs getting going tomorrow. 2 games on the schedule. Hurricanes take on the Islanders at 3, then at 6 o'clock. It's the Leafs and Bruins. Oilers get going on Monday in the association. 2 play-in games tonight. The Heat and Bulls meeting in Miami. Tip off at 5 o'clock. The winner of this one gets a first-round matchup with the Boston Celtics. And at 7:30, it's the Kings taking on the Pelicans. From New Orleans, winner of this one meeting the OKC Thunder. Major League Baseball today, the Padres kicking off a series, or the Blue Jays kicking off a series against the Padres tonight at 7:40, tomorrow 6:40, and then on Sunday 2:10. You can listen to both those games on Sports 1440 radio feed only. Elsewhere, Mets take on the Dodgers, Giants up against the Diamondbacks. You've got the Tigers battling the Twins, Orioles in Kansas City, Braves host the Rangers, and the Rays take on the Yankees. One final from earlier today, Cubs beating up on the Marlins 8-3, and the Mariners-Rockies postponed due to weather in Denver. In the WHL, playoffs continuing. Swift Current takes on Moose Jaw, PG hosts Kelowna, and Portland in Everett. And the BCHL playoff action, Sherwood Park Crusaders taking on Blackfalds. Puck drop 7 o'clock out at Sherwood Park Arena. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host and former NHLer, Sean Brown. Also, Bakersfield Condors captain Brad Malone, and former Oil Kings head coach, current head coach of the Oshawa Generals, Derek Blackstall. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station.
Welcome back. Positive Friday. Every hour you get closer to the NHL play. Basically, 24 hours from now is when the first game of the 2024 NHL playoffs will begin. The Carolina Hurricanes, the New York Islanders, then you have the Leafs and the Bruins, 2 games on Saturday. There'll be a 4-pack of games on Sunday. And then Monday, the Edmonton Oilers will begin. You, of course, have Tampa and Florida, Washington, New York, Colorado, Winnipeg, Nashville, and Vancouver. And then on Monday, you will have the Toronto-Boston Game 2, the Islanders-Carolina Game 2, then Vegas and Dallas, followed by L.A. and Edmonton. Edmonton is going to play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, then the following Wednesday, so 2 days off. And then it'll be Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday if necessary. I don't see a long series here. I think Edmonton's going to control the LA Kings. We'll see what happens, but I fully expect the Oilers to win this series. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, speaking of winning, well, you can't lose with this promotion. PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50. Pretty simple. Gregor50. And you'll get a $50 free wager. Not just for New Year's, it's for everybody. All right, so use it wisely. Stay within your limits, but get a free 50. Trust me, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Make it count at playalberta.ca. As we welcome to the show, gentleman who is very much a big fan of the teal sweaters, also with matching teal shoes, and was doing some calf stretches before the show today. Former Edmonton Oilers NHLer Sean Brown joins us. Brownie, how you doing?
Very good. You know what? I forgot my glasses halfway here. I'm like, oh man, I left my glasses at home, but you've never looked better.
Hey, is this your first day on the job? You know you can move your mic, eh? Oh my God, unbelievable.
This is a tough start for me.
Holy cow. He's got his microphone pointed the opposite way here.
I don't even know if the camera's even facing me. I did hit the camera.
No, yeah, no, don't worry. Declan set that up, I think. So it's all good. So you ready to go now? Are you in playoff mode? Like, are you nervous? What's happening here?
I'm excited. This is the first round of playoffs. It's unbelievable. You get hockey every night. But you know what? I am a little tight. I went to True Movement there, and you don't realize, how weak your small muscles are. And so it was an unbelievable workout. And now I'm kind of paying the price. Anyone that, has been out of a routine and gets in a routine, you know what it's like when you sit down on the toilet and it feels like everything is grabbing.
So you're one of those guys though, so I haven't worked out in a while. So what am I going to do the first time? I'm going to work out like I always worked out. And then she's like, hey, Brownie, how you going? Oh, good, man. Come over here. Yeah, and here's Brownie standing up. Awesome. Everybody's done it. Trust me. That's it's a classic guy thing.
Well, you don't know it until it's done, right? So yeah, I mean, that's what you do, right? So, but yeah, I'm a little bit tight. Hence the calf stretches in the West Edmonton Mall.
And you know what? Now the more I'm looking at your sweater, I don't even think it's teal.
Yeah, what are you giving it to me about this?
It's more of like a baby blue, like kind of Easter egg.
That's my blue. This is my color. Why are you every time I come in here?
No, I don't mind it. I was more so. I like the fact that your sweater and shoes are matching. I was quite impressed by that.
Thank you. Yeah,
right? I was like, how many pairs? You must have a lot of pair of shoes because you come in here. And you pick your shoes to match your sweater quite regularly. It's what I've noticed.
Okay, well, you know what? I do. I am a shoe guy.
Yeah. How many pairs of shoes you got at old Chateau Brown? Let's be honest.
I don't even know. Probably
like more than 50.
No, probably somewhere around there.
50.
Yeah.
It's not like mainly running shoes.
Majority of them. Yeah. I mean, because you don't get rid of them because it's not like I'm a kid anymore where I'm playing around in the mud and I break them down or wreck them. I more or less get sick of them. And when I get sick of them, I just give them to my dad. He's always one. I always give my clothes to my dad at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a shoe guy. I grew up loving shoes. I grew up
that's fine.
wanting Nikes, could never afford Nikes, and now all of a sudden I'm in a position where I can get them. And who doesn't like a nice pair of Nike Dunks?
A lot of people are texting in that they're watching saying that's periwinkle blue.
Oh, right.
Oh,
okay. Well, hey, baby blue. It is my color. It is my favorite.
So Edmonton Oilers last night. So Brad, did you ever play in a team when all your top guys are rested? Which not everybody can rest. I understand. I'm sure that, and everybody knows the pecking order. They're like, well, of course we don't want Connor McDavid to get hurt. Like, you're not going to be offended if you're playing, but the game means nothing. So, and the Oilers in the first 10 minutes played like that game didn't mean anything. Colorado was like, we got to get Nathan McKinnon his 140 points, because after the 10-minute mark, they kind of said, okay, let's shut her down. There was like a I don't know if there was any hits after the 10-minute mark or not, but give me your thoughts on the guys who were dressed, and you can tell yourself, okay, let's go. But I'm even then, no one's going to get up before that game. Okay, guys, we really got to go. They're going to look at him like, are you an idiot? We don't really have to go. This game means nothing.
But I would disagree with you. I think it means you can't play a hockey game, especially in the NHL, without finding any meaning to it. I mean, they are professionals. And
so what would be the meaning?
The fact that you got to have a tight game going into the playoffs, right? You want to make sure that your game is where it's at, and you're still, I don't want to say, I mean, you're always auditioning for not only for yourself, but for your coach and for other people that are watching. So I don't think there's ever a meaningless game. Obviously, do
you think they played like it was a meaningless game?
Well, I did watch a little bit of the game and did watch the whole game. I didn't find it overly inspiring, but I think for guys like Carrick and Derek Ryan and McLeod, they're always playing for something.
McLeod hit 2 goal posts. Actually, did you guys see the McLeod one-timer in the first period? I'm like, where's that been all year? Now, I know he's not in the first unit, but still, I don't think I've ever seen Ryan McLeod take a one-timer. And he took a one-timer. It was actually pretty good, but he hit the bar twice last night.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what those guys are also looking at is hey, the big boys are out here. I'm going to get a ton of opportunity and be put in some situations that I'm not normally going to get. And you're always trying to audition and show a side and something to your game that maybe it's not this year, maybe it's next year. Or like I said, there's always eyes and someone, going to be watching these guys. Guys are looking for contracts and opportunities. So I as much as you think it's not a game, a meaningful game because they're sitting out their stars, it still means something. And I really don't think you can play in the NHL if you ever look. I'd be scared to look at it any other way because you'd probably get hurt.
Well, no, and that's fair. But when the game started, it was clear that they just weren't on the same level. Now, Colorado obviously had better players. I understand that. But once it got 2 or 3-0 Brownie, the guys are like, okay, we're not going to blow our guts out here trying to come back in tonight's game. I never got the sense, and it's not that they didn't try. There's a difference of not trying or trying your maximum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, it just goes to show how elite the guys that are sitting out actually really are.
Yeah, fair point.
Right? I mean, let's face it, those guys and the way they play and what they do to a team and how much they raise other guys play around them is just, it speaks for itself. So, for as good as those guys are, they're not the superstars of the Oilers, but they're very good NHL hockey players. But you're going up against the motivated Colorado team that's looking, like you said earlier, that, they're trying to help.
They had lots to play for because they've stunk.
Yeah.
And they'd only play, it was also Edmonton's 5th game in 7 nights.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There is a fatigue factor. I don't, you can't just ignore it.
Yeah.
5 and 7, I looked at the order schedule. They didn't play 5 and 7 all year long. You don't play 5 and 7 very often.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then Colorado hadn't played since Sunday, and they've been waxed 7-0 Winnipeg, blew a 3-0 lead Vegas, waxed 7-4 to Dallas, waxed 6-2 to Edmonton. You could, they were the coach asked their veteran, hey, do you guys want to dress? And they're like, yeah, we don't want to dress, because I think they were like, we got to try to find something. Whereas Edmonton's like, we've played pretty well here. Not that this game doesn't matter, but the outcome of the game yesterday, I don't think was well, all of a sudden now the Oilers are going to play loose in the playoffs, because they won 14 of their they went 14-0-1 last year, Brownie, and got to the playoffs and then lost game 1. I think everything is now, okay, regular season done. starting tomorrow when they show up at practice, it's a completely new year,
Oh, yeah.
right? And nothing really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing the regular season is to get you to the playoffs. And for sure now everything's out the window and they're starting all over. But, getting back to them, making sure that, they have to play their game. Number one, you're playing against a Colorado team that has all their stars in it. And if you're not dialed in and trying to play your best, they got a bunch of guys out there that could really, really embarrass you. But, I just think as a professional, and which they all are, is the fact that was their last game and they want to make sure there's a feeling that they need to get individually out of themselves going into playoffs. Right. And, whether it's McLeod or Henrique or any of them, they're definitely using that as, an opportunity to feel good about their game and maybe some details in their game that they wanted to be better. And, I don't think you can underestimate mentally how important that is for those guys that are playing that game.
Yeah. So like the Kings, how do you view this series?
Yeah, well, it's everything goes out the window. It's a new series, right? I think I obviously you never know why. I mean, the guys that were sitting out are obviously, logging a lot of minutes and whether they're nicked up or not could use a little bit of time off. I don't think we'll ever really know how nicked up maybe certain guys are. Obviously, when you look at a guy like Evander Kane who sat out, what was that? Was that his third game? Or
Yeah, he
something?
sat out the whole week.
Yeah.
San Jose,
So
Arizona,
like,
Colorado.
I hope that he's, for the way that he's got to play and the, consistently throughout the playoffs, which hopefully is a long run. Hopefully, it's nothing serious and with his body that, is going to hamper or take away from how he needs to play. But I'm assuming they're just resting those guys for the amount of minutes and what, but I just hope that they're healthy and ready to go, because I think playing against LA, they're going to need those guys, and McDavid and Draisaitl, they're, with LA's D and how physical they are.
Yeah,
It's going to be, I think it's going to be a hard series.
I'm not concerned about health. The coach has said many times, like he did with McDavid, if it was a playoff game last weekend, they would have played, and then he came and played Monday and looked fine.
Well,
right?
they're never going to say.
But if McDavid was hurt, he wouldn't have played Monday. There's no chance. It was San Jose. Wasn't going to play, right? And I think Evander Kane, they're like, okay, he sat out 2 games. Why would we play him tonight when we're sitting out everybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't. He might have a nagging injury, but how many other guys 2 games into the playoffs are going to have nagging injuries, and then you just play banged up? Like that's, unfortunately or fortunately, that's part of the playoff lore, is you got to play banged up.
Absolutely. You just want to prolong that as long as you can, because it is coming for sure. But if you can, the longer you can last without a nagging injury, I could only think it's only going to help them. But it's going to be a tough series. I mean, you got an LA team that, has guys that have won in the past. They got that experience. They got some heavy defensemen and guys that can play heavy. It's not now that you're into the playoffs and you look how exciting it's going to be and the matchups. It's wow, it's exciting. I don't know. I'm so excited now that it's always nice when the weather's getting nice and, the excitement, with the excitement that the city is feeling right now, it's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be great. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you on Sports 1440 live in the EWEL studio, EWEL.ca, your local electrical distributor. You think and need electrical products? They'll help you out. They'll also even help you make your projects look better. It's EWEL.ca.
Whether you're
Sean Brown, Connor Halley on a lovely Friday afternoon. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, it's playoffs, baby. So we'll give you something for listening and supporting the show. Whether you're signed up or you want to be a new register, either way, use the promo code Gregor50 and you will get your free $50 wager at PlayAlberta.ca. Use it wisely. Maybe you can, you know what? Have a good day with it. That'll be fun. Stay within your limits at PlayAlberta.ca. And now we're going to go to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Junior Prospects Hockey League, an academy-style approach for U14, U15, and U18 players with a great combination of skill development and education. And they continue to grow. Learn more at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com. And our next guest, of course, currently the captain of the Bakersfield Condors as they get set. They're wrapping up the regular season this weekend, then playoffs will begin next weekend, and it will be the final playoffs of his career as Brad Malone has announced that he will be retiring at the end of the season. He joins us now. Brad, welcome back to the show, my man. I don't know if congratulations is the right word or not. What do you say when someone's retired? Is it congratulations? You get to go out on your own terms, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, congratulations. Or are you okay? What's wrong? One of the two. Yeah. No, thank you. It's it's kind of been something we knew was going to be coming here the last few months, but talked to Holty, and Holty thought it was a good idea to release it. So we're doing the parade, I guess, which is I love the radio.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. How difficult of a decision has it been for you the last few months? Or are you like, you know what, I think I'm ready for the next page?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even think I realized what I've done yet, to be honest. And in some ways, like I understand the magnitude of it and what it all means, and I've certainly been soaking in a lot more of the little things the last few months. But just reality is pretty hard to ignore. I'd love to play another 5 years, and probably the biggest thing is I didn't want to play anywhere but here.
Okay.
And it was just reality. I was just kind of getting in the way, and with young guys coming in, and good players being down here, they got to play, and it's a part of the business. It's the nature of it, and I just had to be realistic with how things are run.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, you're talking about, you're obviously a veteran and it's a young man's league. Is there anything else that kind of led you to this conclusion as far as, the amount of work that you have to put in, in the off season and during the season? Was there anything like that or anything else that you kind of looked at and thought, wow, you know what? I really looked at working out and putting all that time and it really excited you. And now it's kind of like, oh man, this is going to be a little bit of a grind.
No, and that part of it I still really enjoyed. Like last summer I stayed here in Bakersfield with the kids and, just kind of loved the routine. The practice rink, I had a key. I could walk in anytime I wanted, get on the ice. The gym over at the rink was, available. I had a key to there. So, really I was like Yager running around the rink, like a young kid in terms of preparation. So I really enjoyed that process of it, but I think it was like game 8 or 9 of the season. One of the guys in Calgary, kind of threw me over the back of the wolf and I landed on my back, and, I had back symptoms and injuries all year. So I did get some imaging done here a few months ago, and basically just said, I got a lot, like some low back, like disc bulges going on there. So, right now it feels great. A few months ago, I'd tell you that it didn't. So it's just one of those things where, surgery is probably going to have to be an option here down the road. And, if you can't skate these days, you're pretty much, deemed useless, which is the truth. So, I'd wake up one day and be like, I can't touch my toes. And the next day I could. So it's just kind of one of those injuries where it's not career ending, but it's certainly debilitating from a day-to-day basis.
Brad Malone joins us, captain of the Bakersfield Condors, as they get set to wrap up the regular season this week, and then playoffs begin. And he's announced this will be his final season as the captain of the Condors. Played over 200 NHL games, has been in the minor leagues for a long time, Brad. And the reputation you've earned for a lot of people, like lots of the guys who come up to Edmonton when they talk about their time in Edmonton, like they rave about the time they had with Brad Malone and Bugsy, and what you meant to them. How important was that factor, and when did you learn the importance of being a really good veteran to the young guys?
Yeah, you know what? I think the coaching staff and just the way things are down here, they really did let me just be me, and they didn't put any restrictions on my personality, and being that smiley, happy guy that tries to find the lightness and the humor in a lot of things, can kind of rub people the wrong way. And I certainly got the full green light here to be myself. And I think that's, that type of environment that a young guy, looking to find his way kind of, they lean towards, just because of the, the comfort and the energy that I'm bringing every day. There's not much negativity, in my direction. So, socially, I'm probably still like 25 years old too, so it's a lot easier to relate to these guys on a lot of things. I'm that way, but I would probably say my second year here in Bakersfield, when Woody came in as the coach, just the reality of not being able, or probably not being a legitimate call up, whereas the first year I thought I was more of one. That was just the reality of the situation and where I was at in my career. And I just made a decision not to be jealous, or not to be one of those guys that I played with when I was getting called up as a young guy, and just making the room uncomfortable and awkward. Like, you got to be happy for your teammates for getting, sometimes their first call up, or, another opportunity in the NHL. And in some AHL locker rooms, there's a lot of selfishness, and guys, are just looking out for themselves and only care about their career and, the future. And I just didn't want to bring that to Bakersfield, and tried to lead in a different way. And I think it certainly has benefited a lot of guys over the last few years, that's, the type of culture that we have. So I just think it's the healthiest way to, have a farm system and conduct things that way.
Wow, Brad, what an amazing way to look at that, because I know when I was in the minors my first year, it was tough. I mean, how competitive it was, and the veterans, and, the importance of having those guys around there. And wow, it's very powerful words that you use there. Looking at your resume here, it's obviously quite impressive. Did you ever think of trying to finish off your career in Europe, or at any point in time when you realized, like, hey, maybe you're a little bit of an insurance policy in the minors? Was that even a thought?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I had 2 years ago, I had an opportunity to leave and go play in Switzerland. Right after I had my last call up there, I guess. I played those 8 games and scored that goal that everyone was amazed by. It was, I had an opportunity to go, and then, I tried to basically just come to Bakersfield and just be like, hey, I got this opportunity to go over there. And, they were basically just like, yeah, you can go ahead or whatever. And then, we recircled back and obviously got something done, which I was like more than thrilled about. But it's been, every time my contract comes up, there's people calling. There was Russia, 5 years ago, calling and asking if I was interested, and then Switzerland. And I'm sure now, if after the season, if I wanted to, I could probably go to Germany and, play 3 or 4 years. But just in my opinion, I want to stay within the game. I want to stay, in the NHL game, and I, be involved in it in a way I can. And I just personally believe that if I leave and go to Europe, that, there's going to be someone else looking for an opportunity outside of playing within the game that's going to get it. And I just think for future opportunities, I think it's just best to, stay stateside and, start working my way up on the other side of the game.
And that was going to be my next question, Brad. So obviously you've thought about it. You have a plan and direction. Like, are player development, or you're more somebody who's interested in like the management side? Do you want to be coaching? Have you thought which direction you would go?
You know what? Like, obviously, talking to my father-in-law and a lot of conversations around the bonfire about coaching, and just a passion that he has for it. So obviously, that's something that I'm very interested in. But that's something you need to gain experience in. I think obviously I'm going to try and find an opportunity within the organization with Edmonton, but obviously that's not something I don't know what it will be or can be, but I've certainly, stressed, how much I, love being a part of this organization. And, I believe that I can be an asset, not just, on the ice, or have been, but away from the rink, and, just trying to help guys, whether it's coaching or scouting or development. I'm obviously hoping that one of those opportunities, comes down the road.
Looking at all the organizations that you're involved in, is there one that you've taken something out of that you've learned the most that you think that you could pass on or help with, in a future role?
Yeah, well, just when you see just how things are ran, obviously everyone does things a little differently, and that's just business. But the one thing that I can really sticks out to me and is Washington. I went there just for training camp. I went in after my 2 full years in Carolina, going into the same division, trying to, basically take Michael Latta's, 13 forward spot as, Tom Wilson's extra guy to run around and be a pest. And I just thought the culture within that organization, in terms of the locker room and the way people treated each other, right from Ovi on the way down, it was, I still remember it to this day. That was 8 years ago. And, those guys have a way of doing business that they enjoy themselves away from the rink and with each other. And then once that, clock starts for puck drop or practice, it's, it's all business. And, those are one of those things that I've, certainly tried to bring to Bakersfield. And, the attitude I was talking about earlier, it's certainly, it's welcoming.
Brad Malone joins us, captain for the Bakersfield Condors. Brad, I want to ask you about 2 young players that Oilers fans are pretty excited about, and I'm sure as a teammate listening to your answers, you're fairly excited about them too. Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, guys who, spend extended time in the National Hockey League last year. And you know what? Obviously, when you're young, your goal is to be in the NHL, understandably so. And they came down to the American League, and Philip Broberg's game is really taken off down there. He's played a ton of minutes. Same with Dylan Holloway. As the captain of the team, give me kind of your viewpoint on what you saw from them, and how much of a proud big brother are you when you look at their development this year?
Yes. You know what? I think just situationally, people forget or, don't apply age, to those guys. And it's just, they hear the word first round prospect and they expect, results, the minute they walk in the door. And in some cases that's the case. But, for me, I think both of them, arguably have talents that you can't teach, whether, Broby's skating and physical ability, and, same with Halsey and his skill set. He might be the most beautiful hockey player I've ever seen, grace the ice. Like he's amazing to watch. And the biggest thing for me that I've saw from both of them is just the maturity, the way they're approaching, not just like the day to day, but, the games, and how much more they take things seriously, and not just as an individual, but as a team and a team concept. And I think that's something that they're starting to grow into, and understanding that they have to find a role and then accept it and then relish in it. And, you can see the way Halsey's been playing since he came back up with the Oilers. I think it's, it's just that, that quick little mindset change of, a narrowed focus, and, really honing in on the details and effort. And, I don't see him coming out of the lineup again. So I'm super happy for him. And Broby certainly has been, he's been dominating down here with his feet, and he makes the game look way too easy. I think he's one of those guys that's, ready to make the next step. It's just, he's got to keep his confidence and self-belief that he's able to do it every night at that level, which I know he's more than capable of.
Brad, listening to that, I'm almost hearing, that's probably a conversation you've had with them. Being a captain, being around pro hockey for as long as you have, of course, you were drafted, back in 2007 by the Avalanche. So you think like, 17 years since you're drafted, being a pro now for 14 seasons in the AHL and the NHL. And as a captain, I know you're a very good communicator. At least that's what a lot of your teammates have told me. And how honest of the conversation? Because I'm guessing being a captain with young guys there, where hey, we want to feel part of the team, but they also have a goal to be part of another team, right? Which is in the NHL. How honest do the conversations come as a captain? Like, when do you know when maybe you got to sit a guy down and say, hey, like, here's the path if you want to follow it, or you can keep kind of spinning your wheels if you don't. How did you learn to navigate when to kind of be the captain tough or the captain supportive?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of leave the individual meetings and I guess direction to the coaching staff.
Okay.
Unless it's something like glaring, away from the rink. I don't try to coach guys physically at all or like mentally on the ice, but I do try and, bring it up in the locker room, in between periods if it's situational to the whole group. Basically just emphasizing, the mental focus and the mental intelligence that you need to have on a nightly basis to be consistent. And that basically, if you don't keep your mind sharp and focused on the task at hand here for, the full time, that, things are going to get away from you. And I basically just said, if that's how you want to approach things, and, your next opportunity is probably going to be in the American League again and not in the NHL. So if you want to start finding success, it starts with, focus and attention to detail, on a nightly basis. And that's something that isn't said to just one individual. I think it's just something that's been said to the whole group. And it's certainly, I think, definitely, hit those two guys with flying colors.
Brad, I don't know if you've had any time to kind of reflect, because it's, relatively quick here, but when you look back at your career, is there anything that maybe you would do a little bit different, or are you pretty happy with everything that you've accomplished and done?
Well, I probably would have learned how to fight a little better, to be honest. If I had known, my old man told me all the time, he's like, get in the boxing ring, like, be confident with your fists. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't need my fists kind of thing. When I was younger, I think that's one of those pieces of advice I should have been, just, if you're a little more confident with your fist, in the way I played, I think obviously I would have played with more of an edge, but not really. You know what? To be honest, I'm just very happy with being able to do this here for 7 years. I had a conversation here earlier with the local radio, and I was just kind of expressing how lucky I feel to be able to do this. I understand it's the American League, but for me, this has really been, the top level that I've been able to play at for, a long time. And I'm very proud of it. And to be able to do it for one organization for as long as I have. And, I really feel like not just me, but the people that have came through here, we've really changed the culture. And I think I've impacted it in a way that, will leave it in a good place for a long time for, a lot of the young guys coming through to develop, and obviously ultimately, hopefully help the Edmonton Oilers win another cup.
Brad, thanks so much for this, and best of luck in the upcoming playoffs. Hopefully it's a long, deep run for you and the Condors.
Yeah, that's the goal. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
You betcha. Brad Malone.
Congrats.
Captain for the Bakersfield Condors. Of course, their playoff start, and then he's going to retire, and hopefully it's a long playoff run for him. Gregor and Brown, quick break. We'll come back here on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Elevate your home's curb appeal
let's get right into our next guest. Of course, was a draft pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs back in 1984. Played for the Leafs and the Islanders. Spent some time in the American League, and then ended up playing over in Europe for a bit. And for the last 24 years, he's currently in his 24th year as a coach. Of course, now he's currently a head coach for the Oshawa Generals, has been an assistant coach in the NHL, head coach in the American League, head coach in the WHL, head coach in the CHL, the CHL, ECHL. He's coach everywhere, man. Derek Laxdal joins us now. Derek, how you doing?
Not too bad, guys. How are you today?
We're good, man. That's quite the coaching resume. I want to ask, what has Derek Laxdal from 2000 compared to Derek Laxdal in 2024? What's been the biggest learning curve and change for you as a coach?
Well, that's a great question, guys. It just, if you look at the evolution of the young male athlete or the young male hockey player, just the way you interact with the player every day has just totally changed. The old school coach or the hard ass coach has gone out the window. You really have to build relationships and get them thinking at a different level. And I think even my days from the Edmonton Oil Kings in 2010 to 14, and now coming into this new group of the Oshawa Generals, it's incredible how the kids have changed. But at the end of the day, though, they are still hockey players. They want to learn. They want to compete. They want to win. They want to develop. They all want to go to the National Hockey League. It's just sometimes understanding the road to get there is a little bit different. And the way you have to teach it and sell it and get them on board is a little bit different, would be the biggest growth change for me as a coach.
What, when you look at it, because you weren't, it was only like a decade ago with the Oil Kings when you were winning 2 championships in 3 seasons. The kids change. Is it, I hear they have a lot of, I want to know why now more, right? So is that the biggest one, Derek? You just maybe have to be a better explainer or communicator as a coach?
Well, you're exactly right. They want to know why, and they want to know how much they're going to get. But it has changed. And you have to teach them, this is why you're going to do it. This is how you're going to do it. And this is who you're going to do it for at the end of the day. And then this is how we're going to go about it. It's just a how, why, and when question. But it's interesting because all these kids have obviously different aspirations and how they want to get there. But the hardest thing I'm seeing is everybody wants to be the 100-point scorer. Nobody wants to be the guy that's going to block the shot or do the dirty work or be the worker bee to get it done to make you successful, right? And then that's been the evolution of our team. When I came in here to Oshawa last year, everybody wanted to be the 100-point scorer. No one wanted to put the work in. Well, we've got guys doing both now, and you can see the results for our group. We've just taken right off this year as an organization, and it's great to see.
Laxi, with the big introduction, Gregor did miss the fact that you got Coach of the Year in the OHL there. So congrats on that. Talk a little bit about, the difference between coaching NHL players or American pro players as opposed to young junior hockey players.
Well, the biggest thing that, obviously, thank you very much. It's a great award for the organization. And again, it just shows you the work that our staff has put in, our GM and everybody just kind of bought in. And obviously there's an award for that. It's great to a great award for the group. But the biggest thing, when coaching the National Hockey League and coaching these junior players, is about $10 million a year. But at the end of the day, it's the NHL guys. You really have to put the money aside. You really can't judge a player on how much he makes or the contract length or anything like that, because at the end of the day, they are just truly their hockey players. And they want instruction, they want information, they want to learn, they want to get better. Obviously, they have different. Sorry, a biker gang driving by, but they just at the end of the day they want to get better. And the biggest difference for the junior kids is they want the information. They just don't know how to digest it yet. The experience of being able to digest the information you're giving to them. And I think for me, that's probably the biggest difference from the NHL player. And there are some players in the National Hockey League that do take a little bit longer to digest it. But it's, you get those certain types of players where, you can tell them something, they get it once. And I think you probably have more of those guys at the National Hockey League level than you do at the junior level.
Laxi, I got to know, just because I'm from Ontario and played in the OHL and you coached in the WHL, what's the difference between both leagues? Is there one stronger than the other?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I really noticed hockey's hockey at the end of the day. I find the Western Hockey League, from my time in there back 10 years ago, the leagues were probably a little bit more defensive. You look at our teams in Oak Kings, we defended well. We had great goaltending, and that was probably an attribute to the players we had. I find a lot of the hockey out here in the OHL, the teams that defend well, i.e. the Oshawa Generals or the London Knights, tend to do very well at both ends of the rink. There's some teams that really play this wide open style of hockey. Players are moving all over the map. There's no positions anymore. You're just a number. And I think that's great to a point, but you still, at the end of the day, you have to defend in certain periods of the game. And I probably find that's one of the biggest difference. But the skill level of these kids in Ontario is incredible. Just the amount of instruction that they're getting from a young age, the amount of money being poured into the skill development for these players is incredible. And we've got a young player in our team, Beckett Seneca, who's going to be a top 10 pick probably this year. His skill level is off the chart. He's 6'4". He's got silky smooth gloves, and but you watch the compete. You've heard me talk about players with a motor. This guy he's got a Ferrari, and the compete factor is just off the charts. And there's not many times you see a player that has all these attributes, and he's going to be a special player once he figures out who he's going to be.
Derek Laxdal joins us. Derek, it's interesting. You mentioned, like those guys that were elite, and you've, you spent a lot of time in the American League right underneath, and in the Dallas Stars organization. Then you went to Dallas, and man, you had Jason Robertson in Texas. You had Jake Ottinger. Then, of course, you saw him in Dallas now with the Stars. I want to get your thoughts just on that team and those players. Like when you're a coach and you see guys and you spend, like 8-9 years with some of these guys or in the organization, you see them at both levels. Like, how do you still closely follow the Stars? And what's your impressions of that team, even though you're not coaching them anymore?
We do. That's a great question. Like I have a still close relationship with them. They just signed one of our players, overage players, Connor Punnett, and I talk to them quite often. But I had Jason Robertson come in out of junior at 18, and you could see that just he has that natural ability, that goal scoring ability. But I would say he's probably has one of the highest offensive hockey IQs in the National Hockey League. I think he's probably right up there with Connor McDavid. Some of the stuff that he would do off the rush, through the defenseman's legs, off the nets, off the end walls, that would happen just in flight is incredible. And I just think that he's an incredible athlete, just the way he leads the team, and he's able. He's not a fleet-foot skater, but hockey IQ is off the charts. His ability to find pucks, his ability to put pucks on net in certain situations is just off the charts. And if you look at some of the players, we had Wyatt Johnson, who just got drafted that summer, and he came into training camp, and we were like, "Oh God, we want this kid so bad. Can we keep him?" They're like, "No, he's got to go back for a year junior." Well, you can see what Wyatt Johnson's done. He's put up 32 goals and 40 assists at 20 years old. Like he's another one of these cerebral hockey players that just gets it, and they're very fortunate with some of their draft picks they've had. Jake Ottinger, they moved up in the draft. They took him. He's a stud in the net. And then you look at the Logan Stankovic, who's just coming in now. There's another offensive dynamo that they brought into that organization, and they've really done a good job of identifying some of these young players in the draft. And for some of these kids to make the NHL this offensively at 20 or 21 is incredible. And then I had Rupi Hintz. Rupi Hintz is a 6'4" centerman that can absolutely fly. I had him for 3 years in Texas, and you've seen what he can do when he's in a groove. So these high-end hockey, these offensive guys, it's great to have one or two, but when you're pulling in 3 or 4 in a draft in 4 or 5 year span, it just sets your organization up for success. And you look at the Dallas Stars right now; they're the number 1 seed going into that Western Conference. You
mentioned cerebral players, Derek. How much can a coach help the the thinking of the game? Is that something that's overlooked at younger levels? And if so, any tips on how to help coach seeing and thinking the game?
Well, it's tough. I think it's situational. I think you have to put players in situations to succeed, and and it comes back to the 10,000 hour practice rule. You look at these kids like I know Jason Robertson's dad, when he would train with them, he would get the player on the ice and he would bag the player until he was exhausted. And then anything that he would do with an offensive tactic would be under the exhaustion. So it just become almost muscle memory. So I think it has a lot to do with the training of the brain and training of the mind. I know there's a lot of visual and virtual training applications that are coming into effect now. I have some of these young kids in Ontario are using them. But again, I think it just comes down to being a student of the game and understanding the game and being willing to try things and being allowed to make mistakes and fail. I think it's part of the teaching tool that's got to be allowed there. Back in the old days, we weren't allowed to fail. We just got in trouble. You get benched, you get sat out. But now there's a little bit of if you're allowed to fail, you're allowed to learn.
Yeah.
Good. I got a question. Like, how do you find that balance as a coach? I mean, you're coaching young kids where, everyone loves skill until skill costs you a goal. How do you find that balance between allowing kids, to develop and have the opportunity to make plays and fail?
I think that's a good question, Brownie. I think a lot of it you have to have the buy-in from the parents. I think if you don't have the parents don't have your back, then I'm not going to have that buy-in, right? And what do? They pick up the player and they go to the next team where the player is going to get a chance to fail there, and if they don't like it there. So the parents have to have the understanding, like it's not always going to be success. There's going to be some fail in it, and that's when if the player understands he's allowed to fail, then he knows that it's okay to fail. But at the end of the day, he's going to be probably that much more confident to make a play or to execute a play that's highly stressful or a lot harder to make, right? So, but I think each player is different, right? I think there's, I could go up and down our roster and, you have to handle each player differently as a coach. And some players I can get hard on, some players I can't. A good example is Jason Robertson. I understand that he does, I think, an hour of video from one of his minor hockey league coaches that just shows him how he performs or makes plays. So when he goes into a game, he's already got that sense of success going into an NHL game. And I've got a player here, Becca Seneca. I'll show him 5 clips before every game of some things that we want to work on in the game. And it's amazing how he can take those clips and insert it into the game. And I'm going, wow, like this is the stuff we just talked about, that it's already being influenced. So some players just get it quicker, but some players, as long as they're willing to learn and be open to teaching, I think it goes a long way.
Laxi, I got to know, how often do you go up in the Oshawa Hall of Fame and look at my photo?
You know what? I went up the other day. There was some graffiti on it, so I took a brush there and cleaned up. But no, I was walking. I'll tell you a funny story. I first got here last year, and I was up in the concourse. We're doing an exercise with the players, and I said, I'm going to take a look at some of these players. And there he was, Sean Brown, stood just right out there. So I sent him a picture of it, and he started laughing. But that's quite an accomplishment to be in that Hockey Hall of Fame, because I'll tell you what. This area is a hockey mecca hotbed. Like we're sold out every game. The fans are passionate. This Oshawa Generals, the rich tradition, the Bobby Orrs, Eric Linder, Tavares is just incredible. And to be on that wall there, Brownie, says a lot about what you did in this area.
Oh, thanks.
One last one, Derek. Quickly, give us a thought. Of course, you're coming up. You're going to take on North Bay. Give me your thoughts on that upcoming series.
Well, you know what? I'd never count our group out. This group's a resilient group here. We've come a long way. And, we've got North Bay coming up starting next Friday. I think this series could go probably 6 or 7. Their coach has done a great job. And you talk about defensive hockey, we defend well. Our team defends very well. But I think it's going to come down to goaltending, and I think we have the edge there. So I'm going to go with the Jennies in 6. I
like it. Now, the lengthy break, you loving it, or is it, I think you played last night and you wrapped it up, but is a week off good, or is that too long for a coach?
Well, it depends on that first game. If you lose, if it's not great. If you win, it's awesome. But, at the end of the day, like, our kids have been pretty good with that. Like, with our way our schedule's set up during the year, we have a lot of these 4-day breaks between the weekends, and we have it, we taper and we start to, ramp it up before that first game, and that'll be our mindset going forward. We have a mantra here in our team. It's hard practice, easy game. So our kids are used to practicing hard. So we'll practice them hard Monday, Tuesday, give them Wednesday off, and then we'll practice Thursday and get ready for the game Friday.
Awesome, Derek. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate having me on. Good luck.
Thanks.
There you go. Derek Laxdal, 24 years as a coach. And he's put in the time, worked around. He's had a lot of success, of course, winning 2 championships with the Edmonton Oil Kings, won another championship, then went to the American League, to the NHL, and now he's back in Oshawa in the Ontario Hockey League. We'll take a quick break. We'll get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by High Street Insurance. High Street Insurance takes the time to assess your commercial situation, ensuring you get the coverage that's finely tuned to the nuances of your business operations. Go to highstreetinsurance.com. Support local.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
No games tonight in the NHL. Tomorrow, though, the playoffs get going at 3 o'clock. Islanders taking on the Hurricanes. And then at 6 o'clock, it's the Bruins hosting Leafs game 1 of their series. Oilers off until Monday. They'll kick off their series against the Los Angeles Kings in the association. We've got play-in action tonight. The Heat and Bulls meeting at 5 o'clock. Winner of this one gets to take on the Boston Celtics. Then at 7:30, the Kings in New Orleans to battle the Pelicans. Winner gets the number 1 seed OKC Thunder. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays in action down in San Diego tonight. First pitch set for 7:40. They'll be in action tomorrow at 6:40 and then Sunday at 2:10 in the afternoon. Both those games can be heard here on Sports 1440 radio stream only. Later tonight, the Reds take on the Angels. Red Sox in Pittsburgh. Nationals host the Astros. The Rays in the Bronx to take on the Yankees. Orioles up against the Royals. Mets travel to Los Angeles, and the Giants host the Diamondbacks. One final earlier today. Marlins falling to the Cubs 8-3. In the BCHL, Sherwood Park in action tonight. Playoffs taking on Black Falls. That'll get going at 7 o'clock out of the Sherwood Park Arena. And in the WHL, Swift Currents and Moose Jaw, PG host Kelowna and Portland up against Everett. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by Craig Button from the NHL on TSN. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station.
1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook, streaming live on sports1440.ca. Thanks as always for joining us. We appreciate it. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And just in time for playoffs, we've teamed up with Play Alberta, and guess what? You are getting a free $50 wager. Just use the promo code Gregor50. Very simple, and not for new users. Anybody, you've been there a long time. The next time you go, put in the promo code Gregor50, and you will get your $50 wager at PlayAlberta.ca. Oilers off until Monday. They'll start the Kings Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. First two in Edmonton. The next two will be in LA. Game 5 will be back in Edmonton on Wednesday, May 5th, if necessary. No start time for that one. The start times for Monday and Wednesday's game, well, they say 8 o'clock. We both know that's probably closer to 8:20. And then it'll be 8:50 start times on Friday and Sunday night. So, hey, maybe you can have a nap. Like I said, I think you should try to negotiate with your boss. Say, hey, next Friday, I'll work an extra hour. Can I come in an hour later on the following Monday? You don't have to get home because the game isn't until 8:30. Then you can sleep in a little bit because you're probably up late watching on Sunday night. So, hey, if your boss is an Oilers fan, never know. Never hurts to ask, Brownie.
It's funny. I should have brought that up to Brad Malone. Do you realize you're giving up the afternoon nap? That's one thing that when hockey's over, it's like, where's that 2-3 hour nap?
You don't get the nap anymore?
That's gone. I remember I told my wife, I was like, I just going to lay down for a nap. And she's like, nap's over. You don't get those anymore.
Nap time is over. Oh, awesome. Love it. Hey, boys, really enjoyed both of those interviews. Very different from Malone and Laxdal. I did not know Malone was retiring, but I really liked his mindset of why he's retiring. Also, his honesty about the jealousy and selfishness that's prevalent sometimes in American Hockey League dressing room. And I think that, and I understand it at a point. Like, you're a young guy, you're under 25, you're in the American League, you want to be there, but you want to get back to the NHL. It might be harder for the 26 to 29-year-olds who's had a taste of the NHL for a bit, and then they get back and they're like, okay, I'm here, but I don't want to be here. Like, I'm sure it's hard because we can all be selfish at times. It's hard to look past ourselves. I get it.
It's very hard. I mean, I can relate to that story and what he's talking about, because my first couple of years in the minors, we had a lot of first round picks and a lot of prospects, right? Yeah. And, you come into your first year pro and, we were given a lot of opportunity for not doing, I would say a lot of work, considering the guys and the veterans that were there. And I could see it. And and getting a little bit older and, understanding the game a little bit more, I could see where those guys were, the negativity and the jealousy would come from. I mean, they're grinding, they put in a lot of time, and it's never easy to probably accept the fact that you went from prospect to suspect, and there's now someone else that they're interested in is going to get that opportunity regardless of the work or what they've done. Because I know for a fact that early in my career I got opportunities that I don't want to say I didn't work for, but because of where I was drafted and they wanted to see what they actually had, I got those opportunities. And the minors, those were the toughest years of my life, to be honest with you. Like, I remember calling my dad probably a month or two into my pro career and being like, that I don't know if I'm tough enough to play in this league, because our practices were like wars, right? We had a tough team. Lauren Mulliken was a very, very tough coach. We did a ton of battle drills, and if anyone knows anything about battle drills and what it's like to be around a bunch of competitive guys, if you do a battle drill for any more than 20 seconds, it turns into a freaking war. Right. And we did it for like hours. It seemed like it was our practices were intense and nuts. Right. So yeah, it was tough. And, to hear what a leader he was and how much and how important for him to change that culture and to make sure that those young guys feel appreciated. I mean, that was very touching coming from, hearing that, because it's not easy if you don't have that culture and you don't have a bunch of guys that are supporting you and understanding where everyone is in the pecking order. It can make it tough for those young guys.
Jason Gregor Show on Brownsville on Sports 1440. It's Positive Friday, and now it's your chance to maybe make it even more positive for you because it's time for Here Comes the Sun. Of course, we're doing this. We do it for a month here on Sports 1440, and someone will win a brand new solar system for their home, valued at up to $15,000, courtesy of Action Electrical. It includes a site assessment in your home, structural engineer, and permitting costs. And of course, the supply and installation of the solar system, courtesy of Action Electrical. Now, you need to be a homeowner. You have to reside within a 50-kilometer radius of Edmonton, and you need shingles. If you have the asphalt shingles, 12 years or newer. If you have a tin roof, don't worry about it. It'll work fine. But if you have and the reason why on the shingles is because if you have too old of shingles and you put it on, then you're going to have to change your shingles on in a few years, and it's going to cost you way too much. So we're doing this to try to think ahead a little bit. Now, if you win and you don't have any of those, you can gift it to somebody who is a homeowner. So you can keep this for yourself, and we got this idea from Help Your Neighbor from Legacy Heating. Blake and everybody at Action thought that was fantastic. So they wanted to help out somebody who, is looking out to, obviously bills are pretty tough right now. So $15,000 is huge, but then it's all the savings having this on your house for the next 10, 15, 20 plus years, which will be amazing. So this week we're doing trivia. It's very easy. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 is the question. All right, sorry, that's the text line. The question is, the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings are meeting for the third consecutive time in the playoffs. But I need you to tell me, what is the Oilers' all-time playoff record in series against LA? Now, not all total wins and losses, just how many series wins, how many series losses, if there is any. 833-401-1440. Now, you got some time because we always give you 5 minutes to get your answer in via the text line. Include your name. If you don't put your name on, you can't be entered. Connor can't just be like, hey, it's to no one. That doesn't work. So have your name on it, or if you've already texted in, we'll see your name, so that's fine. But if you're a newbie texter, make sure you put your name in it. Your name and the Oilers' all-time series playoff record versus the LA Kings. I'll give you a hint. They've won the last two. 833-401-1440. Take a quick break. When we come back, Craig Button will join us on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Heavy hauling in the worst of climates can be dreadful.
for Friday. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. And hey, for the playoffs, teamed up to help you maybe make it a little bit more enjoyable for you. Go to playalberta.ca. And whether you're already signed up or you sign up on the account, and use the promo code Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 wager. You do need to make a $5 deposit, but that's pretty good trade-off. Playalberta.ca. Spend it wisely. Good luck for the playoffs. Playalberta.ca. And hey, speaking of luck, one of you in about just over 3 weeks' time, we'll have the big draw, and somebody is going to win the turnkey solar system for your home, valued at over $15,000, courtesy of Action Electrical. Of course, a site assessment, structural engineer, permitting costs, supply and installation of the solar system on your home. It's an amazing package. Great generosity from Blake and everybody at Action Electrical. And Conman, we have picked our qualifier today. Who'd you go with? Chris. Chris, congratulations, my man. How you doing?
I'm really good. How are you?
Hey, it's Positive Friday, buddy. I'm pretty good. I'm on the right side of the dirt, so hey, I like it. Nice. It is nice. And speaking of, hey, you could have the solar system on your roof. Obviously, you're a homeowner. You got the newer shingles less than 12 years old. Now, I know it's just fresh, so you might change your mind. But is there someone you'd gift it to, or is this something you've been looking at for a while? Keep for yourself.
It's something I'm looking at because I'm actually in the process of starting to build a house. So that would be perfect.
Oh, that's actually, you'd have new shingles. You get it on the new house. That would be fantastic. All right. Well, that is great. Connor will get back in Connor. He'll give you, there's one final step to get you 100% in the draw. You have to do via email. It's very simple. It's really easy. Connor will explain you all that. And then you'll be in. And then we'll do the draw somewhere. We'll give everybody a week after we get our final entries in. And then we'll do it in the middle of May. So best of luck.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
There you go. It's that easy. Well, yeah. You'll have new shingles if you're building a house. Put the solar on it. And then we got solar on our farm out at the barn. We've had it for 7 or 8 years, and I can tell you, it is amazing difference in the power. It's like virtually wintertime, like there's none. And even in the wintertime when there's not a lot of sun, people think, right? Because dark here lots, doesn't matter. And you come summertime, though, it builds it all up. It is amazing. They have it all across the whole roof and of the barn. It's outstanding. It's any of the farmers out there will know, like, especially come wintertime, you're heating up all your heat lamps for the barn, trying to keep all the water thawed, everything like that. You run a lot of power, and power bills in the wintertime, pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
So
well, timing's everything. Hey, for as cold as it is, you got to give it Edmonton credit for the fact that the sun is always out.
It's
right?
huge, man.
Yeah.
We're from here, and you kind of take it for granted until you go somewhere else, and you're like, where's that big ball of flames, man? Come on, let's get out here. I need it. Like, man, I spent a month of my life in BC once, and it's a beautiful place. But I was like, oh my God, it's cloudy way too often.
I would take a cold day than rain.
Yes.
I can't stand rain.
No, and then just the grayness. Yeah. I don't like it at all. Not at all. Welcome into the program, our regular Friday contributor, former NHL GM scout, of course, won a Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars, ace analyst and scout for TSN. Craig Button joins us. And Craig, it's the eve of the playoffs, baby. Now we're down to 16. Everybody's excited for it. If you had to pick and you could only watch one series, which series would intrigue you the most to say, okay, this is the one I'd watch?
Wow. That's a great question. And you're sitting here thinking, about the different series. So how about if I try eliminating a couple? Like if I watch 1 second of Rangers Carolina series, that might be 1 second too much. So no interest there. I'm tempted to say Vegas, Dallas.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I'm not buying Vegas. I'm not buying them.
Yeah.
After the 11-0-1 start, basically a middling team, and I think Dallas is a really good team. So I guess that would be the series I would pick for these two reasons. Is Vegas capable of picking themselves off the mat and getting back to form that helped them win the Stanley Cup last year? And is Dallas poised to go deep in the playoffs? So I'm going Dallas, Vegas.
Okay. I like that. It's
how about you?
If I could pick one, it would be Winnipeg, Colorado.
Well, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winnipeg.
What about
Colorado.
you, Sean?
I'm going to have to go Toronto, Boston. I just, with Toronto being from that area and you know the pressure that comes along with the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're not going to win they're not going to win 4 straight, or they're going to face some adversity. I just want to see Toronto and how that team handles some adversity. Can they handle it? That's to me, a very tough place to play.
Well, I would add this to just real quick. Boston knows how to put you into adverse situations and make you uncomfortable. You know, one of the things I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about, but I don't think the LA Kings can make Edmonton uncomfortable, and I think that's a big part of having success in the playoffs. How do you get an opponent uncomfortable? But Boston can make Toronto uncomfortable, and how they handle it. I agree with you there.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting series for me. You know, there's the question marks. Is Boston going to go with one goalie? Will they rotate their goalies? Will they have it without Patrice Bergeron? How they match up against Austin Matthews? Now, can the Leafs finally get over their maybe their own mental hurdle of beating Boston and adding a little grit at times from their top guys? The Colorado-Winnipeg series for me, Craig, it's one where, you know, Connor Hellebuyck and the Jets are really rolling into the playoffs, whereas Colorado, like, they got spanked last week by the Jets. They blew a lead to Vegas. They lost big to the Oilers. They lost big to Dallas. Like, you know, you mentioned, like, I'm a big believer with you. I'm not a buyer at all on Vegas. I actually think Dallas is going to beat them in 5. But the Winnipeg-Colorado series, I have the Jets because I just think they're better overall. Colorado has McKinnon and Rantanen, unreal, but I don't think they play good enough team defense, and I think Winnipeg's really going to lean on their defensemen. What do you think of that series? Who do you have?
Yeah, well, I have Winnipeg, so I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to make my verdict first. And they had the best goaltender in the National Hockey League. They had the best goals against in the National Hockey League. They got depth. They got speed. They got weight in their game. And you just talked about Colorado, and I think it's tilted and lopsided in the goaltending area. You just talked about where they got spanked. On March 30th, and up until Sunday, they played these 5 teams. They played Nashville, they played Dallas, they played Edmonton, Winnipeg, and the Vegas Golden Knights. Georgiev played started all 5 of those games. He didn't finish 2 of them. He didn't get through the first period in one of them. He didn't get through the first minute of the second period in another one. And his save percentage in those 5 games against those 5 teams, .829. That doesn't win you any games at any level anywhere. And I think it's a massive Achilles heel for the Colorado Avalanche. And so you talk about a team that doesn't play good team defense. Now you have a team that's maybe, I don't think they're as deep as Winnipeg, and their goaltender's no good. Whoa. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I know that Colorado's got a good team and they can push it, but the way Winnipeg's playing, I have Winnipeg all the way in this one.
What are your thoughts on Chris Knobloch is getting maybe Coach of the Year? I mean, he's done nothing but turn this team around since he's come here. He's won, you know, but he's up against some stiff competition as, you know, you look, maybe Rick Tocchet or the guy in Spencer in Washington, or even Torts in Philadelphia.
You know, every year I think there's so many good coaching candidates that could be awarded the Coach of the Year. I think in a lot of cases, you know, the team that was underestimated the most and then achieves to what people didn't expect, you know, that a lot of times becomes a Coach of the Year. So I think, you know, Rick Tocchet, maybe there wasn't a lot expected of Rick Tocchet. Maybe there wasn't a lot expected of Spencer Carberry and the Washington Capitals. And certainly you can look at different. When the moment that Chris Knobloch stepped behind the bench, the Edmonton Oilers, and I'll take away the last couple of games because everybody was in a different state. But up until the last couple of games, the best team in the National Hockey League from November 13th was the Edmonton Oilers. And in every single critical area, they were like top 3, top 5. Goals for, goals against, penalty killing, power play, goaltending, everything that requires an ability to be taken seriously as a Stanley Cup contender, and important elements of a team that a coach instills in a group. And I think Chris Knobloch has done a full, like when I say a full complement of all the critical areas of coaching, like I don't think if they awarded him the Coach of the Year, I don't think anybody should raise an eyebrow, because it's not like he started out 0-0. He started out 0-0, but the team was in a deep hole, and he not only got him out of that hole, he got him to a high level where the Edmonton Oilers are in a great place.
Yeah, no, they're good, Craig. Like, they're a team. I think there's a lot of internal pressure. There's probably a lot of external pressure. Maybe internal expectations is probably better than pressure. But there's a lot of people that, hey, what if Edmonton doesn't win? Carolina, I think, is in the same boat. Dallas would be. And the thing is, like, there's lots of good teams, and only one of them is going to win. And some people are going to view it as a disappointing season. That's what makes it so difficult at times. But I think Edmonton, because of Draisaitl and McDavid, there is the heightened expectations on it. You had mentioned earlier you don't think LA can make them uncomfortable. I agree with you. So here's my question about the Kings, Craig. So let's say they lose to the Oilers, and I expect them to lose. I picked Edmonton in 5. If you're Rob Blake in the offseason, don't you have to look and say, okay, 1-3-1, we got to be done. We got to bring in a coach who wants to play a different way. Drew Doughty even said it a month ago. He goes, well, I don't really like the system we're playing, if I'm being honest, but this is the system we play. Like, you've got to change it because you keep doing it. And I think LA's got some skilled players, but that 1-3-1, man, I think at times it neuters your skill.
How about this? Is Rob Blake even going to have a chance to hire the next coach?
That's fair. Yeah.
I think it's fair. And when you make a trade that he made that's turned out to be disastrous for the LA Kings, and I'm talking about the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, and like incredibly beneficial to the LA Kings, and you give them an 8-year contract, and you're looking at your team, and you have to fire a coach, and now you're looking at a team that I agree with you. I think if they get it to 6 games and lose, that might be considered a win for the LA Kings. And listen. I have no problem holding GMs accountable or coaches accountable. And I think that Rob Blake has to be held accountable. I never called for the firing of a coach or a GM. But what I will say is, look there. That's where you look. And I think that Rob Blake, they have to look as Rob Blake, the person you want making decisions going forward. Because the team, it's great to tear it down and get to a point. Where is the LA Kings today that's different than when they were 3 years ago?
Yeah, fair question. All right, fair question. Like they and remember, if everybody talked about the great prospect pool that they have, and they've got some good guys, no question. I still think Quentin Byfield's not yet reached his peak level, but you can't win playing 1-3-1 in today's NHL. I think it's been proven. I just don't think it works to win. There's too much offensive creativity in the game.
And not only that, Jason. The way the game is played with speed and pace, and if you get on the wrong side and you're standing still, remember the 1-3-1 is more of a static system.
Yeah,
like the game isn't static. So why are you deploying a static system?
Yeah,
and once teams figure it out too, and this is what happened to LA, they got demolished.
Yep.
And when I say figure it out, teams now know how to combat this and know how to deal with it, and they got demolished.
Craig, what are your thoughts on Patty Kane? I was a little bit surprised on the success that he had this year. He looks like he's got a lot in the tank. What are your thoughts does he end up staying in Detroit, or do you think he goes to Buffalo, or possibly even go back to Chicago?
Yeah, Patrick Kane I think he's still a top player. I mean, watching him this year, he was healthy. Obviously, getting the surgery on the hip really helped him. And, one of the decisions that he made going to Detroit, he really liked the approach that Derek Lalonde employed with his group. He really believed in what he was doing. Patrick Kane has won 3 Stanley Cups. He's been part of a lot of success. He's played for a top-notch coach in Joel Quenneville. I think that Patrick Kane, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's been a great player in the National Hockey League. I think at this stage of his career, he's looking for an opportunity to achieve something significant once again. And yeah, I know the Stanley Cup is the ultimate goal. It's the pinnacle. But you want to give yourself an opportunity to compete in those situations. I remember I asked this question when I worked for Bob Clark years ago in Minnesota. I asked Bob, I said, you're a great player. Do you ever wish about playing again? He says, Craig, he goes, yeah, I don't feel like playing a game in November. I'm not even so sure I feel like playing a game in February. He goes, but boy, would I love to play a game when there's high stakes and it matters.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly where Patrick Kane finds himself. And he knows what a good coach is. And so I know Derek, and I really like Derek Lawn. I think he is a good coach. It really spoke volumes to me about Derek when Patrick made that comment when he signed in Detroit. So I think Detroit made some good strides forward here, and Buffalo doesn't have a coach. The Chicago Blackhawks are maybe 8 years away from being contenders, and I don't care what anybody says.
Agreed.
They are bare. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and I'm not trying to be hard on, but I mean, it's a long road for them. And when you consider where Patrick Kane, I think, is at in his career, I think he wants to get into a spot, and I'm not so sure it's not Detroit again. He was really good there.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Craig, who do you have as your Stanley Cup finalists?
Can I bail on that and just tell you who I have in the Final Four?
Sure.
Because I try to get it to the Final Four. You're going to tune into TSN tonight, and we did a bracketology, and really, I pick it all the way through, and I did pick one. And you get I'm trying to pick up 2 months ahead. Like, come on, James Duthy says I'm a sucker for punishment. He's right. But I have Edmonton and Dallas in the Western Conference Final, and I have Carolina and Florida in the Eastern Conference Final. Ultimately, I picked Florida and Dallas to get to the Stanley Cup Final, and I picked Florida to win. Listen, Carolina and Edmonton could get to the Stanley Cup Final. Any of those 4 teams, I think they're really well positioned, Dallas, Edmonton, Carolina, and Florida, to get to the conference finals. And then from there, there's a lot of things that have to be, no injuries.
Yep.
Your game is going good. I mean, and not things that are that aren't obvious to everybody. But when I did the deep dive and in terms of trying to look at the teams, I think that those are the 4 best teams to have a chance to get to the conference finals in the East and the West.
Well, Craig, you and I have the exact same Final Four, but then we have the exact opposite Cup final.
You have the 06. You have the 06 final redux. Yeah. And listen, like I could easily go that way too, right?
Yeah.
And I could, and I think that the way that Edmonton plays, the way Dallas plays, Carolina is an excellent team. The Rangers are good, but they're not great even strength.
No.
And that's where I think their weakness shows up. Right, Jason?
Yeah. I would agree.
So, it'll be fascinating. I had Elton John Saturday nights all right for fighting on. So Saturday the playoffs begin.
Being a former GM and knowing the importance of, you need a little bit, I would say, you need a little bit of luck. You need some matchups. It's important to get hopefully some quick series, some, hopefully not, your star players don't get banged up. Is there any matchups or is there any teams that you look and see that it's like, wow, this is setting up nicely for this team to go on a nice run?
Well, the reason I have Carolina coming out of or Carolina or Florida coming out of the and I could agree with Jason on Carolina, because I think, to your point, Washington and the Islanders, I don't think tack those 2 teams, which right off the bat gives you an opportunity to get a shorter series, to get a little bit of rest, and then to get prepared as other teams are grinding it out. And I think that can really, really help a team. I think the same thing sets up for the Edmonton Oilers versus LA. I wouldn't bet against a 5-game series with the Oilers winning. I think the Central Division, and again, I picked Dallas and I picked Florida to get into the Stanley Cup Final, but I could fully go the other way, because the Central Division, it won't be easy for Dallas against Vegas. And then you get the winner of Colorado, Winnipeg, and then you're going to have to play Edmonton. I don't think that's an easy path. I think the Atlantic and the Central are tough path.
Craig, enjoy the playoffs, man. It's going to be awesome. We will talk to you again next Friday.
Yeah, it will be awesome. You guys have a great weekend.
That is Craig Button from TSN. So he has Florida, Carolina, Dallas, and Edmonton, same as me, but we have the opposite. Do you have your Final Four, Brownie?
Look
at you. He's got it all. He's got his,
I got it all.
He's got his paper.
A mile away.
Get some readers. Look at him. You can't even read.
This is tough. This is tough, but I wasn't planning on it, so my writing is very small.
Oh my God! Do you want us to go to break so you can get your?
That might help.
Yeah, we'll get you some binoculars.
Well,
so
I
you
take a
can
picture
see.
and then I just magnify it.
Oh my God! But you wouldn't want to
I don't
get readers, eh?
Well,
this is unbelievable. This
Could've had a
is such
backup
an
there.
awesome, awesome thing. So many people out there in their 40s, all of a sudden, they're just like, because one day you're there, and then the next day it's like, what is happening? I'm lucky. I don't know. I actually, my glasses, I need them for far, but for close, like it's unreal. Seriously, when we go for dinner with the group, I'm just laughing because like now a lot of people use their phone. I'm like, do you want me to read you the menu? They're like, well, you can see that. I'm like, oh yeah, my eyes are great close. Far away, they're not great, but close, it's unreal. I love it. Quick break. We'll come back. We got 5 questions more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Christensen Communities.
Hey, your work week's almost over, baby. You made it through another one. Congratulations. NHL playoffs begin on Saturday. Oilers, of course, will begin on Monday. And after playing 5 games in 7 days, trust me, the Oilers wanted the extra day. There was talk about Edmonton starting on Sunday. The organization really pushed to get to Monday and have an extra day. And so that's why they will start on Monday night. Let's get to 5 questions, or 5 questions for all of our bilingual listeners. Brought to you by The Brick, where right now you can save 60% off Cindy Crawford Homes, Scott Living, Chateau d'Eau sofas, and more when you buy matching chair or love seats. 60% off only at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
Very quickly, guys, selfish plug. If anyone wants to join the Fantasy Frenzy playoff pool, text in 1-833-401-1440. I will send you the link. It's free to join, and there will be some prizing. You guys are both invited, by the way, and we might even invite the old intern to join as well.
Oh, nice.
Although I did forget to send him the invite the first time, but that was corrected. Question number 1. Going into game 1, you might have to run down the Oilers lineup here, but what do you think the lineup will look like as they take on the Kings for the 3rd straight postseason?
Wow. The 6 defense are obvious, so I'm not going to. I think we know the 6 defense. We know the parents. Stuart Skinner's going to be in goal. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins. They're obviously all in. Warren Fogel's playing. McLeod's playing. I think Corey Perry's in. So it really comes down to, where do you think Dylan Holloway fits? I'm assuming, based on everything the coach has said, Evander Kane's ready. If Evander Kane isn't ready, then it's pretty easy. It's Dylan Holloway takes his spot automatically. Adam Henrique, I think, is in your lineup for sure. So they're going to have to make the debate over, do they move someone out of the top 9 to make room for Dylan Holloway? And then, like you could argue, say, we'll keep Janmark and Brown and we move Henrique or McLeod as a 4th line center. You could do that, right? I think as a coach, if you put in Holloway early and for whatever reason he struggles because, there's playoff pressure, whatever, you take him out, might lose him. It might be, I could see them going with the veteran lineup. And then if somebody struggles, whatever, then you bring in Dylan Holloway. Now there's a lot of juice. And then there's not as much pressure on him to say, hey, buddy, you know what? If you play well for a game or 2, and then if we take you out, it's not because you fail. It's because we want to put a veteran back in. So I do wonder about that mind game a little. Not mind game. Game sounds like the wrong word, but just looking big picture. So I'm gonna go with the boring one, and I'm gonna say that I think he goes with kind of what we've seen, and Holloway, Gagne, and Derek Ryan will be the 3 extra forwards to start game 1. But I'll say this: I think Dylan Holloway ends up being a regular, just not in game 1.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's a nice way to look at it. I can't,
like Ryan and Gagne, I think, are the easy ones. That, like, Gagne's obviously not playing. Ryan has been the regular. So is it Holloway for you, or is there another guy you take out for Holloway?
For me, I feel like I play Holloway.
Okay.
I like his speed. I'll go the opposite way. I think when you take a veteran out, right, it doesn't become as personal, and he uses his experience to stay focused and to understand, what it takes and how to prepare himself for when he does get the call. I think that's the approach that I will take. I love the way Holloway plays. I love his speed. I love his enthusiasm. I think that, I think maybe that lack of experience or a playoff experience could probably help him going into it a little bit naive and just playing free and having some fun. And I think they're going to need it. I think he's a guy that can play really uncomfortable and get in on a forecheck. And just thinking from a defenseman's point of view here, when, you get a guy like that can skate and take away time and space, and finish his check, those guys are hard to play against.
Question number 2 for you guys. Kind of touched on it.
So did you say, though, who you're taking out?
I'd probably take out Ryan.
No, but Ryan's already out.
Oh, yeah. Gee, that's, I
know,
that's tough.
Don't sit on the fence. Pick a guy who's coming up.
We were going to get,
Henrique, Fogel, Carrick, Janmark, Perry.
I would say Janmark.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, you guys touched on it quickly, but outside of the Oilers, which series are you most excited for? And I'll throw in there, which one do you think is going to be the worst or least competitive?
Oh, least competitive all day long, I think, is Carolina and the Islanders. I think Carolina's going to spank them. The most competitive, now that's tough. I think you could pick any of the 2 in the Atlantic, and Winnipeg, Colorado. Those 3, Boston, Toronto, Florida, Tampa. I think those 3 are the most competitive. And then I think Nashville might push Vancouver farther. But I don't think the Rangers and Canes are going to have overly difficult time. I think Edmonton and Dallas are going to walk over the Kings in Vegas. Right? Not necessarily every game where it's a blowout, but I think the series is going to be short. So that's where I have it. Brownie?
Yeah, I would agree with you. Carolina and the Islanders, that doesn't excite me at all. Obviously being, a Leaf Oiler fan, I'm really excited to watch Boston. I feel like, the pressure in Toronto, what it's like to play there and the highs and the lows. And I wonder how Mitch Marner and those guys are Nylander, how they're going to handle that type of pressure when they face a little bit of adversity and the media kind of gets on them a little bit. And I think Boston just has that, has the ability and has those star players, and they got, Todd Marchand, with his experience and the type of player that he is, that's probably one of the series that I'm going to be most interested to watch.
Question number 3, when you look back at this regular season, who, it could be team or individual, was the biggest disappointment for you, and what was the best or biggest surprise as well?
For me, the biggest surprise was probably Patty Kane, just coming off of a hip surgery and his age. To see him perform at that level was impressive. Maybe the most disappointing would be maybe Buffalo, just with the season they had before and the young prospects and players that they had. I just expected a little bit more. That was a little disappointing to see them. I thought they'd be a little further ahead.
That's a good question, Cons. I think, there's a lot of teams that might fall into that. But, I didn't think Ottawa was going to take a step, so I guess I can't say I'm not disappointed in them. I thought Buffalo would take more of a step, so I will go with the Sabres. Now, I did like the Bowen Byram trade, but they weren't great 5-on-5 last year. And I know they made the coaching change at the end of this season. I never really saw any improvement in their defensive structure at all. So I'm not surprised by that. And I'm very curious who their next coach is going to be, because it has to be somebody who's going to instill a better defensive system in Buffalo and a better commitment.
Who's the front runner? Would you, Berube?
Well, he would be definitely a guy to look at. There's no question about it.
Question number 4. In honor of a workplace incident that occurred in the 1440 studios yesterday, and at the same time, it was actually International Amateur Radio Day.
Oh, it was amateur, all right.
It was very...
I missed it. What happened?
I know. We don't like to throw guys under the bus, Brandon, but on air.
Oh, really?
Maybe a beverage was spilled where it shouldn't have been.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest oops you had at the office?
Well, it's easy
There's
for
a lot
me,
of those
but-
for Brownie. Which pizza are we talking about?
I just called Brad Marchand, Todd Marchand. There's one. Probably I'll go with telling everyone that Brokeback Mountain was my favorite movie that I've never seen. I'm not going to live that down.
That one was pretty awesome. Oh my God. That's a good question. I would probably oh God, this is just like the word oops or just like a bad decision?
It's open.
I was younger and I got to work and I didn't want to work. I was like 21 or something. And so I went to my boss and made up a lie as to why I needed to leave work. And, I claimed that someone was really sick and I had to go help him, whatever. And turns out, so my boss's best buddy's wife saw me that night out partying and then proceeded to just, oh yeah, hey, I saw Gregor. He's like, what? And it just by happened to have like a week later and they're having a conversation and somehow it came up. She's like, oh yeah. Cause he's like, oh, somehow they knew Greg. She's like, oh yeah, I saw him partying whatever last Friday. And he's like, what? And so then he get reeled into the office and it was I got.
How do you walk that back?
Well, I didn't. I just had to own up to it at that point. I was like, he's like, why not just tell me you wanted to leave work early? And I was like, well, it didn't even dawn on me. Like, I don't know. Like, so don't lie to your boss, kids. Like the truth's always better. So that was a tough one. Cause then I had to work 6 hours extra overtime and not get paid for it. That was my,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, cause he had paid me for that day because I claimed that someone was sick.
We even took the money.
Well, no, because it's part of, you don't get paid that day, you donkey. Like it comes off your bill. I just, he just put it in. He just didn't mark me absent. Yeah. Basically, good boss, because he thought that I was like in a real dire pickle, and I wasn't. So that was a really good learning experience early on.
I gotta say, Brownie, when you said Todd Marchand, I thought he got a new job. I was like, oh, you said that with such confidence. Good for him.
Well, no one even. Thanks for the correction. That was like the Brokeback Mountain. Now, when I said it, Gregor's like, yeah, okay.
Well, first of all, I couldn't believe but I didn't know what that's like. Hey, maybe he likes Brokeback Mountain. Nothing wrong with it. Like, to each their own. Like, big cowboy fan.
Heard it was a good movie for what it's worth. A final question for you guys, Hypothetical Friday. If you could be a CEO of any company in the world, which company would you choose?
Well, since we're talking about it and earlier, I'll go with Nike.
Ooh.
Just because.
Oh, God, you would love it. Like, how many shoes did you have then?
I don't. Yeah, that would be a ton. Yeah.
That's a good question, man. God, I never thought of that. Like, who would you want to be the CEO of? I guess if you're looking for, like, there's two ways. I could look at, do I want a fun job and a fun company, or do you want to, like, if you're a CEO of like a major company, you could have a major impact on people, right? And so that would be I would probably want to be the CEO of like Procter and Gamble, and just using them as an example. I don't even know, like, if I'd want not to be the inside look and say, okay, because obviously you make boatloads of money, and say, rather than just always have it where it's all about the revenue to our shareholders, why don't we change the philosophy of our company and we could help a lot of other people who really need it? And because our people are still going to get money, don't worry. But they make so much, you get to a point where that's not enhancing your life anymore. Why not take the money and enhance other people's lives? So I want to work at a CEO like that. Well, it's a total valid case. Like, they've done studies on it. Once you reach a certain point, like,
yeah, what is that number? I'm curious.
Well, actually, they say for the average, anybody who makes over $250K, that your average happiness in your life doesn't go up that much more.
Really?
Right? Because obviously it relieves some stress, right? You can, if you live your life and you're somewhat competent in saving your money. Yeah, that was the one. Now, maybe that's changed. I think I read that like 6 or 7 years ago, so I can't see it being that much higher at this point, right? And so, because they talk about like just an overall happiness, right? And so now everybody's going to have a different definition of happiness. Some people get a lot of happiness from material things, but most people, they say don't. They don't say that at the end of the day, material stuff gives you a lot of extra happiness.
Yeah,
right? It can be a lot of extra stress. So
I think you need to be in those situations to actually understand that. Yeah. Money isn't everything.
Yeah. So cons, other than the Chargers,
who
would you be?
I'm usually pretty selfish with these things. For me, I was actually trying to be more helpful to the common man. I was thinking like a grocery store chain, and I would try to make products more affordable and just lower the prices. We don't need as much profit. We want to get food into the hands and the mouths of those who need. So that's what I was thinking.
It does seem to be the biggest scam in our society right now is the food industry. And the government and all the crap they like you take a few minutes to read, right? Max Lugavere, and I've been reading a lot, and you look at lots of the illnesses and stuff in our society comes from what we're ingesting through food and all of the crap that's put into it. You read the ingredients on some stuff, you can't even read it. You don't know what the hell it is. Exactly. Lunaphone. What? Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't say sugar. So to me, that's the biggest scam we got going on right now in our society, is because they can make healthy food. It's been proven. So eliminate all the junk. We'd be better off.
They just make it so easy.
Well, yeah. It's not great. Brownie, have yourself a wonderful, do you have a team? So who's your cup finalists? Do you know that?
My cup finalists would probably be, Edmonton, obviously. And
you can't even read your. Oh, this is unreal.
We'll go with
Carolina, New York, Toronto, Boston, Florida, Tampa.
Carolina. I'll go with Carolina.
Yeah. Why don't you write bigger for yourself next time?
I just make it easy and don't forget my glasses.
Because
I knew it. I was halfway here. I'm like, I could turn around. And I'm like,
when you write, you must have to write with your glasses on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh, like I wish we had a video of Brownie trying to read his book here. And you've got pretty long arms, and he's got them extended as fully as he can, and he still can't read it. Oh my goodness.
We do have video of it. It is on YouTube.
Oh God, pure comedy. I love it. Brownie, have a great weekend. We'll chat with you next Friday.
Awesome.
Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Stop in right now and you can save up until tomorrow 25% off select tires, including Goodyear's. Great deals only at Fountain Tire and fountaintire.com. Get ready for summer.
The Sports 1440 update.
It's an off night in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it all gets going tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Game 1, Hurricanes Islanders. Then at 6 o'clock, we got the Bruins and the Maple Leafs. The Oilers off until Monday when they kick off their series against the Los Angeles Kings down at Rogers Place. In the association play-in games tonight, the Heat take on the Chicago Bulls. Tip-off minutes away. The winner of this one gets a first-round matchup with the number 1 Boston Celtics. Then at 7:30, the Kings in New Orleans take on the Pelicans. Winner of that one gets the OKC Thunder. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays about 2.5 hours away from first pitch as they're in San Diego. This weekend, they will play at 6:40 in the evening tomorrow and then 2:10 in the afternoon. Both those games can be heard right here on Sports 1440 radio feed only right now. A few games underway in the second. The Reds lead the Angels 1-0. Red Sox up on the Pirates 2-0 in the second. Also in the second, the Phillies have a 3-0 lead over the White Sox. And you guessed it, in the second, the Astros have a 2-0 lead over the Nationals. Later tonight, Yankees up against the Rays, the Athletics in Cleveland, Braves host the Rangers, Tigers take on the Twins, Brewers in St. Louis, and the Dodgers host the Mets. Earlier today, the Cubs knocked off the Marlins 8-3. WHL action tonight, Swift Currents and Moose Jaw. PG hosts Kelowna, and Portland takes on Everett. And the Sherwood Park Crusaders playoffs beginning tonight, taking on Black Falls. That one gets going at 7 o'clock out at Sherwood Park Arena. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Alan Mitchell from the Lowdown with Lowetide. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in
The Positive Friday. How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, streaming live on sports1440.ca. Man, we have a big announcement coming next week. Woohoo, baby. This is nice. I love it. Just in time. I'll say that. A little teaser for you, but big announcement for Sports 1440. A new edition. There's my tease for you. A little new edition. I have to find out where. Next Tuesday? Yes, next Tuesday will be the announcement. Gregor Show is always brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Here's something, no teaser, no announcement. Go to PlayAlberta.ca and you will get a $50 free wager at PlayAlberta.ca. Just use the promo code Gregor50. Now, this is for anybody. If you're a new user, great. If you're an existing one, awesome. You make a $5 deposit and you get your $50 with the promo code Gregor50. Hey, maybe you want to put it on the Oilers to win the cup. Maybe, you know what? You'll put it on another team. Whoever. Put it on whenever you like. Good luck with it. And hopefully it comes through. PlayAlberta.ca. Coming up this hour, we'll have Spec also. We will hear from Lowetide. And much, much more. But first, let's get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction, as they are hiring right now in various different departments because they are super busy. And it's ramping up as they celebrate their 50th year this summer. Big party, so that's a perfect time. Imagine getting hired by a company and then you're like, hey, what's one of the first party events? Well, we're going to have our 50th bash. It's going to be massive. Oh, you'd love it. So go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. So we welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet to the program. And Spec, the Oilers, hey, they got out alive, I guess, is all that mattered last night. It was a shortened lineup, to put it politely. Their top 7 scorers were out. Stuart Skinner played 20 minutes. Chris Knobloch said afterwards, yeah, it's probably unfair for him because there was a lot of really high-quality chances. Although I saw Stuart Skinner's reaction to it. Like, I've seen it when you let in goals. You can see a guy maybe being annoyed at himself. There was not a lot of stress from that game last night.
Yeah, the one thing that I think always gives me confidence that Stuart, can be the guy here and will be the guy here is his mental approach, right? You've interviewed him probably more than I have. He's a really calm guy. He can look down on the situation from 30,000, say, hey, here, look, big picture. This wasn't going to go well for me. It didn't go well. He's not carrying those goals. He's not taking it in. Forget it. None of that. That wouldn't even leave a dent in this guy. He's not Jack Campbell, right? Who, oh my God, if that happened to Jack Campbell, look out. So, it was a bad decision. It really was. Organizationally, that was poorly handled. They didn't see that train coming down the tracks when they sorted out this goalie rotation, when they sorted out the night they were going to take 7 guy lineup. They didn't think about who the opponent was and how they were going. And maybe they'd want to play their best team and have one last crack at putting a good game together because Colorado hasn't been very good. So all of those things came together and made that decision look pretty awkward. You couldn't have found a single person in Denver in that press box last night, from Oilers people to Avs people to officials to anyone who wouldn't have bet you $100 was going to be between those pipes when the second period started, man. It was the most unsurprising move you've ever seen.
Yeah, for sure. Ultimately, now, though, it's in the past. It doesn't really matter for them. I don't think it's going to impact how Stuart Skinner plays come Monday night. Spec, the big question will be, like, what's your expectation, Chris Knobloch and his lineup, assuming everybody's healthy? Like, defense and goaltending is set. We know who the 6 defenders are. Broberg went back to the American League. He could easily be back up here soon. We know Stuart Skinner is going to start in goal. There's obviously some forwards we know are going to play. But do you see Dylan Holloway in the lineup for game 1? And if so, who comes out of the regular guys? And I assume Gagne's out. I assume Derek Ryan's out. So who would be the guy coming out, do you think, for Holloway? Or does Holloway start?
Well,
in the press box?
Yeah, I don't know. I can guess like you can. I remember you and me talking about this 10 days ago and saying the job of Dylan Holloway in these last games that he's played was to force Chris Knobloch lineup and to make him make this tough decision that we're talking about right now. And how does it work? Do you push a Henrique or McLeod down to be your fourth line center so that frees you up a left winger and you take out a Carrick and Ryan and you have Holloway on the left wing? Do you just is unable to play? I don't know the answer to that, frankly. I want Kane in my playoff lineup. I'm paying him $5 million, and he's always been a pretty good playoff player. I don't want to take him out. They got to do something because Holloway's making them a better team. So, boy, I'd be darn surprised if he's not in the game one lineup. But we'll find out this weekend. They're going to run some lines here, but I have a feeling that it might come down to pressing one of your centermen down into the fourth line role so that you can keep all the guys you want, and the guy coming out is like a Carrick or a Ryan and not a Kane or a top nine. See it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, does the coach, obviously Dylan Holloway adds some stuff that other guys don't possess, right? The speed that he has. There's no question about that. I think he's got a lot more confidence in himself because of how he played in the minors. Then he came up here and boom, all he's done is produce. So it's a fascinating one. I can see how people be upset if he doesn't play. I totally understand it. I also, having covered the league for as long as I have and talked to coaches spec, I know a lot of them will err on the, sometimes it's easier to bring the guy in who's young with energy after the fact than if you put him in game one and he makes a mistake and then you got to take him out of the lineup. Now you're like, oh my God, did we ruin his confidence? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's how they view things a lot of the time. And so it will be fascinating to me to see, which angle the coach goes. And ultimately, I believe either way, Dylan Holloway is going to play in the playoffs. Whether it's game one or not, I don't know, but I think he will be playing in the playoffs. And I think he might be a guy who's going to, make some impactful plays at some point.
Well, I think he's come against LA is we all know the template to play in LA. You got to chuck it in over that 3 in the 1-3-1. And then you got to get in on that defenseman who's retrieving it and bang them. That's how you start every line rush against the Kings. We're not carrying that puck into their zone, right? When you're the Oilers, you have to dump it and chase and body check. And I'm not sure they have a faster body checker, right, than Holloway. He loved that game. Set him after Doughty into Doughty's corner. Let Doughty get a full series of Holloway banging on him. That would go a long ways to softening up their best defenseman. So your point is maybe he doesn't play the first game. Maybe you wait and see if there's an injury. Maybe this, maybe that. But this is an opponent that fits Dylan Holloway's game for my eye.
Yeah, no, it's totally fair. You look at some of the other series. It's amazing how literally the Oilers were 81 seconds away from playing Vegas. And then the LA Kings got a goal from Arvidsson to get him that much needed point. And so now they'll come to Edmonton and Vegas will go to Dallas. Like they play 1,312 games and they had to come down to 81 seconds before they decided the final 2 playoff seeding, which is kind of crazy when you think about it that way. Like they probably couldn't have asked for a better regular season, a more meaningful regular season. Everybody says, hey, you want the regular season to mean something? It definitely meant something this year. You look at the Eastern Conference race, came right down to the final day of the season.
Yeah.
All right, second last day of the season as well.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. So when we play that out, do we need play-in games? Do we need expanded playoffs? Like, are we trying to fix a system well this year? What do you think?
Well, I like everything about the playoff system except the asinine decision not to have 4. When it's 4-4, there should be no crossover. Like Dallas and Vancouver. Hey guys, you win your division. Guess what? Now you get to travel 2 time zones. Pardon? Yeah, that's your reward for finishing the top of your division is you fly 2 time zones away. Why? Because of 1 point difference between Nashville and Vegas. 1 point. Like it is absolute asinine that they have that. It's such an easy fix. If it's 4-4, there's no crossover. They talk all along. We want to have division rivalries. So stick with it. Have division rivalries. It makes no sense to me whatsoever that they continue to do this when it's such an easy fix.
I would think so. I mean, I guess the spirit of it is you should be rewarded as the top, the conference winner. You should be rewarded by playing the 8th team. There's a lot of people out there who want 1-8, 2-7. I like that system. I like the system where you have more divisional rivalries. I like the juice. If the Oilers can play Vancouver in the playoffs this year, I like the fact that juice carries over to the 4 or 5 games they play next year. That, to me, that's what we want. So, yeah, there's got to be some way to secure what you're doing. I want to say, Jason, if it was Eastern Conference problem, it would have been solved a long time ago. If the Rangers had to go to to Edmonton or some mountain standard time place, or God forbid the Leafs had to do it.
Oh yeah,
we wouldn't be having this guy fix that problem 10 years ago.
No, it's because the Eastern Conference teams are like, well, what does it matter, right? Like there could be a little bit of a difference if you end up having to go to Florida or Tampa, because obviously that's the farthest place away. But it's such an easy fix. I don't know why they don't consider it, but it's the NHL. So I asked the question earlier. So if you have one TV, and in whatever bizarro world we're living in, you only get to watch one playoff series, which one are you picking to think to be the one that would be the most entertaining for you from start to finish?
Oh boy. First, I can think of about 3 for different reasons, but if you're making me ask to do one, it's not the Edmonton series because LA's in it, right?
Yep.
So that's out. That's the first one I scratch off the list. I don't want the series with Carolina in it. I don't want the series with the Islanders or Washington in it, because I don't think Islanders or Washington are very good team. So we're down here. In the West, I can't pick one. It's got to be Colorado Winnipeg. That is the highest pedigree of series in the league this year. There is no, if you could add up power rankings and you added those two together, their total would be higher than any other series, in my opinion. And I love the intrigue and the stress around the Leafs playing in Boston. I love the history and the tradition of 2 original 6 teams playing. I love the fact that one's been the big brother for a long time and the other one has an immense pressure in Toronto to get something done here finally. So those are my 2. Can I say that? I think it's really cool that Florida and Tampa play all the time now. It's like Battle of Alberta. I think that's awesome. But I'm telling you, the best series is Colorado Winnipeg, and the most beads of sweat is probably happening in Toronto right now.
Yeah, it's fair. Like the Edmonton LA series, I don't see it being overly competitive. I think Edmonton is clearly the better team. Now, yeah, you have to show it, and that's why sometimes there's upsets. But I think they know how to play against LA. They beat them again in the regular season. They have a lot of confidence. And today's game is about creativity and speed and fast and pace. Yeah. And their 1-3-1 system is the exact opposite. And I just don't think you can win with it. And I think, what's going to happen, Spec? They're going to lose again this year. And hopefully that's going to force either Rob Blake, they might make a change there, or Rob Blake's, okay, we got to get a coach in here who's not doing the 1-3-1, because it does not work. Full stop.
Yeah. Well, they played I don't remember exactly the system, whether it was a 1-3-1 or was a 1-1-2. When they cups, they won their 2 cups with a very defensive, boring hockey. Daryl Sutter presided over they beat you 2-1 every night. They were good, man. They were the best team. They won. They earned it. They have their rings. You can't deny them that. I covered both cups, and I was deadly, brutally boring. And somehow that franchise got locked into that. Somehow the Kings franchise decided that's how our franchise is going to win. And now I hear we did this when they came through the other week and Edmonton beat them 4-1. Now it works. And the point you make is perfect. If they lose again to a creative, offensive, forechecking, skating, passing team, I don't think anyone can look in the mirror and say this is working. So, that's Edmonton's got to win this series. God forbid they lose it and the Kings will just double down. But I think if they lose for a third time, someone in that organization has to say, what are we doing here? This isn't working.
No, 100%. Spec, you're taking the Oilers in how many games?
I am taking the Oilers, and I'm not a 6-game picker because when you pick 6 games, it's everyone picks. They all go 6. So I'm going to go 5. I'll say they get 1. I think that Edmonton will win both of the first 2 here. I think they're Jay, this playoffs nervous, and I think every year we see them play, Jay, in the playoffs, I see something that shows me that they're before. I see, this team's a little more mature. They're a little bit more prepared. And this year, I think the thing I think we'll see is a team that starts in game 1 not playing nervous. I think did they lose game 1 both years to LA? I can't remember the second year. They did the first year.
Oh no, they have. But they lose game 1 to every.
Yeah, I think they're ready to get. I just sense that's the next step in their evolution is to show up on time in these playoffs. They've been a pretty good starting team. They've been an unbelievable team at home, one of the best in hockey. So I think they get up 2-0 and take a Roy. 5 games, buddy.
All right. Thanks. We will chat with you on Monday.
Big weekend. I'm pumped. Let's go. Playoff hockey, man.
Can't wait. Mark Spector in the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We'll come back. Lowetide will join us. We got lots of your thoughts on what you think the coach is going to do. We'll find out maybe at practice tomorrow on what the line combinations will be. We'll see is everybody on the ice or not. We'll find out. With the defense pairings, we know what's going to be. We know who's starting in goal. We know obviously the majority of the forwards playing, but is Dylan Holloway done enough? Which is all he wanted to do is get the coach's attention. He's clearly done that. We'll find out what the coach plans on the weekend and then my Monday when they take on the LA Kings. We'll return on the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Until April 20th, make the shift to more savings at Fountain Tire and get up to 25% off select tires, including Goodyear. Restrictions apply. Financing available. Book online today. I forgot to mention the bonus $50 off any service of $150 or more. I knew 15 seconds wasn't long enough.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit BIEENG.com.
Building a bungalow used to be an ideal retirement plan, but they can be expensive and an inefficient use of valuable land. Ram Elevators and Lifts offers a better solution. Stay in the home and neighborhood you love or build up. A second story or rooftop patio are completely accessible with a Ram elevator. Ram offers a renovation-ready product that requires minimal space and no elevator pit or separate machine room. Make your home your forever home with grounded simplicity, elevated design. Visit trustram.com. Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Legacy Heating and Cooling Jingle auditions take one for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Are you ready, guys?
We were born ready. Heck yes, Nuge. Drop the beat.
Legacy.
We freaking killed it, Nuge. That's what I'm talking about, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Nice guys. We're going to sell a lot of air conditioners.
Hey, doesn't Legacy offer no payments and no interest for a year on those?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the assist on the copy points there, Nuge.
It's just what I do.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Rodeo clowning felt like an exciting opportunity. Boy, was I ever wrong. The bulls. So predictable. But you know what's exciting and unpredictable? PlayAlberta.ca. I can bet on any sports game, play online casino games anytime, and buy lottery tickets anywhere.
PlayAlberta.ca. Go all in on excitement. Sign up today and get over $100 in welcome bonuses. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense.
Well, we continue on. Positive Friday on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, you can get in the game at PlayAlberta.ca. We're helping you out. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you will get the free $50 wager. Got to make a $5 deposit. We can make more, but just minimum $5, and you'll get the $50. So it's pretty good benefit for you. Turn 5 into 55, basically, just like that. It's pretty good math. Nice. Then make it count. Good luck. PlayAlberta.ca. Gregor 50 only for the playoffs. Let's get to the oil report now, brought to you by VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Spring is here, baby. And at Volvo, they're celebrating 0.99% financing on any lease. Or if you want to purchase a vehicle, get a bonus $4,000 off on select models at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. They are very good. We welcome to the program, host of the Lowdown, 10 to 2 here on Sports 1440. So, Al, I will ask you the question. Do you two-part question? A, do you think Knobloch starts Holloway on game 1? B, if he does, which forward is out, assuming Ryan and Gagne are the first two out?
I know the appeal of it, but I don't think they will. The penalty killing is a part of it. I like Holloway a lot, unless there's an injury that we don't know about. I think they'll run with the group they've had success with, and then check down if there's a problem or speed is an issue. Then maybe for game 2 we'd see a change. But this seems like a coach who, it's not that he isn't innovative, but I think he does have some pretty traditional ideas. I think they'll run with what they have and then have Holloway as an option. Certainly, I think he's going to play. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it'll be game 1.
Yeah, you know what? And I kind of agree with you on that. I know people will freak out over it. I don't think it's I don't think the order of success is going to hinge on whether Holloway's in the lineup or not to start. I do think he's a guy who will add something as the playoff goes. And you know what? Like, think about, Braden Holtby, Bobrovsky. There's been other guys who didn't start in the playoffs. There've been guys who've called up who are healthy, and then all of a sudden they get in and they can make an impact. It happens all the time. And, the orders would obviously love it to be Holloway. All he's done is play well, given the opportunity he's had. And that's a positive. He looks a lot more comfortable, especially in the offensive zone, which I think is key for him. His speed. LA is not a super fast, like Edmonton. If you look at the NHL Edge stats, the Oilers are the second fastest team in the NHL behind Colorado. Yeah. So it's not like I get having Holloway, and that's great, but they don't lack speed overall as a team. So would he be a little bit quicker? Yes, but that's not what they need necessarily. They're second fastest team in the NHL overall. So I think, Holloway is tenacity. Probably you could use more. He's got some physicality for sure. And the bigger question will be, at some point, someone's getting nicked up. That's just the truth, right? So, it might happen in game 1. You hope it doesn't for that player, but it might. And, I think he will get in. You look at the matchup game, Al, and, Edmonton's beat LA twice. Nothing's really changed. Like, obviously Dubois is here now, but, he was, that hasn't really helped them anyway. So I look at the Kings, and do you what makes you concerned about the LA Kings in this series?
Well, I think that their young players are better than they were a year ago, and like I saw Kopitar make an un-Kopitar-like play last night. He lost the puck and then he lost the battle and it ended up in the net. That rarely happens, but he's getting older. I don't know. I don't think Byfield will have a monster impact on the series, but if a young player like him or Kaliev, I doubt it would be Kaliev, but another young player has an impact. I think they know Drew Doughty, and Drew Doughty knows them, and they're gonna have all kinds of filth on both sides, and Mikey Anderson and all this stuff, and that's what we're gonna get. But the element that we don't know is if these young kids really can impose their will in a way that we haven't seen in the playoffs before. I don't think it'll overwhelm the Oilers. I just don't. I think the Oilers are the better team, and they should win. I'm not saying they'll win in 4, but I think they should win in 6 at the latest. And I don't think that'll be the problem. But the one thing I'm a little bit aware of is that we have some players on that team we haven't seen in this situation before, and that can have an impact.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You look at some of the other series, Al, and it's funny how the Oilers and Vegas were 81 seconds away from meeting each other. And selfishly, I would have rather seen Vegas here than LA. I think there's a lot more juice. There's a lot more meat on that bone as far as intrigue for me. Plus, I don't know. I think Edmonton, I think there might be a little bit more nastiness in there. Like, I know LA is obviously going to be upset, but Edmonton's just like, they're the big brother now that's really confident they can beat LA. That's how I view this series. Right. Whereas
I agree with that.
like Vegas might have been a little bit different, but we won't see it. Do you give Vegas much chance against Dallas?
I honestly don't. I think that like, I'm not saying it's going to be a quick series, and I think Vegas has a lot of heart and great talent. But as an example, Stone, everybody's like, oh, he's going to be back. Well, we don't know if he's going to be Stone from last year, and Vegas has a lot of question marks, and they did a year ago. What happened was, you've talked about it before many times, second period of game 5, they take a penalty, then another penalty, second period of game 6, the injury to Brossois. There was a lot of circumstances that allowed the Golden Knights to win that series. I think the Golden Knights are not in that same position, and the players that got them there may not be in the same position this year. I think Dallas wins that series.
Vancouver, Nashville.
Well, I think Vancouver wins it, but Nashville doesn't scare me if the Oilers are playing them, but because they're a strange team. They really are. Like they don't seem to respond the way most teams do. They traded a lot of the roster a year ago, and they caught fire, and they've got a really good goaltender. Vancouver's history, Jason, as you know, is that they sort of out-psych themselves. So I'll say Vancouver wins that series, but it's going to be closer than people think.
Yeah, I have the Canucks in 7, and then Colorado, Winnipeg.
That's a tough one because you would say Avalanche, but with their goaltending, and they've had lots of injuries, and Winnipeg's looking good. I will say Winnipeg in 7, but I'm probably wrong. But I think Winnipeg will win that.
Yeah, me too. I got some concerns about Colorado's defensive play. That to me is their issue. But I will say that's a series that is tune-in TV for me. I love watching Nathan McKinnon play, man. He's so exciting to watch. I watched a lot of Avs games this year, and he's just, I'm curious to see Winnipeg, big heavy team. The whiteout will be fantastic. So I look forward to it. It's too bad that there's nights where the Oilers, Winnipeg, and Vancouver, they're all, they got 3 nights where the Canadian teams are playing on the same time twice, or 2 or 3 of the games. So not a big fan of that selfishly, but we'll see where it goes. We had Brad Malone on the show earlier today. Really good interview. If you missed it, I would highly recommend for especially if you have a young son or daughter who plays and is, working their way up at any level, go listen to Brad Malone and talk about leadership and the importance of selflessness inside a dressing room or any team sport, and how that's something you really need. And he talked really glowingly about Holloway and Broberg, and it was interesting, his comments about Broberg. And he said, he thinks he might be the smoothest player he's played with, like just as how he moves and everything. And he said once he gets where he believes in himself all the time, he's going to be unstoppable. And that was really good insight I felt from Malone.
Yeah, well, Malone, it's funny. He's been there a long time. Like he's played through, he's been a mentor for a lot of the wingers specifically who've been down there. Because even though Malone, when he plays up in the NHL, he's a third line, fourth line center. Down there, he played big minutes, and so he would have played with Yamamoto and Puljujärvi and others. And so centers in the AHL are vital. They just are. Like, they are a big damn deal, because if you have a young winger and you want to develop that player, a guy like Malone would be the one you want him playing with. And so from the point of view of when he's talking about a player, when he's giving you the information that he has, he's got a lot of experience watching young players develop in that league. So if he's saying those things, that's a positive.
Yeah, no, 100%. Al Mitchell joined us here on Sports 1440. Al, the last one for me, when you look overall at this year's playoffs, and is there a surprise team, right? Like, honestly, I didn't really pick any upsets, and I kind of feel like idiot. There's always upsets, but do you see like a surprise team that all of a sudden's in the conference final, or do you think there's just so many good teams, it's going to be the good teams? Like, it's hard if you have, like, if Winnipeg or Colorado are in the conference final, no one's surprised. You know what I mean? So do you think there's a surprise team that might get to the Final Four on either side?
Well, I'm going to be universally hated for this, but I think Toronto could get out of. I think Toronto could get. I mean, if they're into, it's a terrible division, but I think Boston is gettable. I'm a big time Bruins fan, and I love that team, and I love the defense, and I love the goaltending, but they don't have that up the spine strength that they've always had. They've done a really good job this year. Don't get me wrong. But in a 7-game series, and maybe it won't be Toronto, but some team is going to take out the Bruins, and I won't be happy about it, but I think it's going to happen.
Al, who's your Stanley Cup final?
I'm going to go Dallas Stars and Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm going to say the Dallas Stars win it all.
Okay, and how far is Edmonton going?
I think Edmonton gets to Dallas, and I mean, I'd love to see them beat Dallas. I don't think anybody's coming out of the West except Dallas.
Well, it's hard to argue with that, man. Dallas, pretty good team. No question about that. But I have the orders: Dallas, Florida, and Carolina in my Final Four. So,
yeah, that's a good step. The thing about Florida and Carolina is I'd love to see that because they're well coached and they're interesting. If Carolina gets to the Stanley Cup final and Edmonton gets to the Stanley Cup final, I mean, oh my God, the 2006 references that we can bring back will just be like mono for Pouliot, Rem Murray coming out of nowhere, Matt Green playing like crazy. It'll be Jarrett Stoll scoring like from the winning faceoffs and scoring from the point of the power play. We could reminisce all day, Gregor.
Yeah. I'm sure you will, Al. I'm sure you will. We'll see if it happens. It would be great to see it. We'll see. It should be a fantastic playoffs. Can't wait. Appreciate your time.
All right. Have a good one, sir.
There you go. That's Al Mitchell, a.k.a. Lowetide here on Sports 1440. We'll get to lineups. We're going to get to some playoff stats, a little playoff report, and more when we return on the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
The full-service provider of heavy haul transportation and rigging at the highest level. Next Gen Transportation.
We're developing new and innovative ways to transport oversized and overweight equipment to remote and challenging locations.
Our Next Gen team leads with a wealth of experience and expertise. But most importantly, we put safety first, so everyone gets home safely.
We also take great pride in supporting our local community programs and teams. Good luck to everyone this season and in the year ahead.
Visit nextgentransportation.com.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited. It's the ice April 27th and 28th. This Edmonton-based tournament pairs hockey fans with some of their favorites from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend featuring a champions luncheon and tournament. Teams are already fundraising in the community, enabling the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories to continue providing help for today through free education programs and support services, and hope for tomorrow through research. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. for sales, service, parts, rental, and finance. When you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Let's break down the McDonald's Quarter Pounder BLT. You've got B, L, and of course T. All with 100% Canadian beef. Sounds good, right? Try the Quarter Pounder BLT today at participating restaurants in Canada.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson here. We all know how unpredictable Edmonton weather is. Extended falls to late winters, and who knows what spring and summer will bring. Regardless of the outdoors, your indoors will be comfortable with Weiss Johnson and Goodman. Whether it's a new Goodman air conditioner, heat pump, or furnace, using our expertise, we'll give you the best quote on Goodman products with no misleading information or offers. Just what's best for your family. Visit wjcools.com today.
.547. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on a busy Friday. Oh, it's going to be so busy the next few weeks. We love it. Can't wait. Back in the eWell studio, ewel.ca for all your electrical needs. That is eWell. Text line's been humming 833-401-1440. I would say that the majority of you who voted on our question about if you could only watch one series that didn't involve your favorite team, or a team you have to cover, like myself. Obviously I work covering the Oilers. What would it be? And going through all the texts, I would say the number one was Colorado, Winnipeg, followed closely by Tampa, Florida, and then third was Toronto, Boston. Those would be the three series. And it seems like the audience, hey, if those are the ones I'm watching, there you go. And hard to argue with that. Let's get to our playoff report now, brought to you by Alberta GMC dealers. You can get up to $6,500 cash purchase credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate, but only during truck month. See more at gmcoffers.ca. The NHL playoffs, of course, begin tomorrow with two games. First one, New York and Carolina, Toronto and Boston. William Nylander did not skate today for the Maple Leafs. He's a game-time decision. Hearing it, maybe more illness than actual injury for him. So got to think he might be in the lineup tomorrow for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Local boy Bobby McMahon will not play. He's banged up for the Leafs. On Sunday, you got Tampa, Florida, Washington, New York, Colorado, Winnipeg, Nashville, and Vancouver. And Demko, of course, will be going. That's a pretty good goaltending battle. That might be the best goaltending battle going. Although the way Charlie Lindgren's played, right, and also Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky, that's also a pretty good one. Lots of the questions in the Toronto series is really goaltending. Can Samsonov play? And then will Boston go with one guy? Or not necessarily rotate, but it'll be like, okay, you play two, then you play two, which is kind of what they've done in the regular season. They've had a lot of success with it. Meanwhile, the Oilers, it was close thinking they were going to play Vegas. It was a minute 21 away. If LA doesn't score a goal, then Vegas would be coming to Edmonton. Instead, they'll be going to Dallas. And LA comes to Edmonton. Both of those games will be on Monday night. Game one, the Edmonton Oilers did make some moves. Philip Broberg and Adam Ernie were reassigned to Bakersfield as they wrap up their regular season, and then their playoffs will begin next week. Broberg, if there's an injury on the Oilers' blue line, I would be pretty confident in thinking that Broberg would get the instant recall and slide in possibly, most likely ahead of Troy Stetcher. I could be wrong on that, but I think that might be the case. We'll see. Now, if it's a right defender, maybe not, but even then it depends who it is. But Broberg, you saw him yesterday, and he just, looked a lot more poised, patient with the puck. There's a guy who really benefited from playing lots of minutes every night in the American League. It's outstanding. I like it. Speaking of playoffs, Connor Halley has a playoff pool. It's free to enter. Lots of great prizes. I think there's a pretty good big main prize from Mondo Mechanical, actually. So, but if you want in, the deadline to enter is before tomorrow's first game. And if you want it, Connor, did you put it up on your on the Facebook page maybe so people can go see where the link is if they don't get it right now? Is it up on the Sports 1440 Facebook page?
Yeah, we'll have it up there. We've got it up on Twitter as well, or X. And also, if you want, you just text in here 1-833-401-1440. I'll send you the link. Very simple. No entry fee, which I think is the best part about it.
Yeah, and so you can win prizes and bragging rights, which is always nice. So you technically could have the exact same team as someone else, but probably not because there's close to 25 boxes to choose from. So I think it's rare. The other news that involves the playoffs, the orders were scheduled. If necessary, Game 7 was going to be on Sunday, May 5th. The WNBA game was scheduled for that night. They've rescheduled, and it will now be on Saturday, the 4th at 7:30. So if you had tickets to the WNBA game, don't worry. Instead of the Sunday night, now it's going to be Saturday night at Rogers Place on May 4th. Now, the orders might not even play Game 7, but I don't think they didn't want to wait till the last minute and now, because you wouldn't know there was a Game 7 until 2 nights earlier, right? So you know that'd be unfair for ticket buyers and the players and everybody. So they agreed with the WNBA. They worked together with the building, and now that game will be played on Saturday, the 4th. Other playoff news for the orders. We'll see. Obviously now the injury report is one. Will Mark Stone play on Monday? Probably. He was cleared for practice 8 days before the playoffs began, which would be actually closer to 10 by the time Vegas plays. Actually, it's 11. So, no, it's 10. So, we'll see. Be raising a little extra money for the Ben Stelter Foundation. Had a few fun wagers for charity. Looks like I'll be paying up. It's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. As I said, do I think there will be any backlash from owners? Probably not. We'll see. We will see. Let's get to Connor Halley, Sports 1440 update. Thanks everyone for listening all week. Rest up. The playoffs are going to have a few late nights, but it's going to be awesome. So enjoy the playoffs. NHL, NBA, WHL if you like it. BCHL still going on. Hey, JHL. So there's lots happening in the playoff world. Be safe, though, whatever you do. Please don't drink and drive. Don't be inebriated, right? No gummies, whatever else. Get home safe. Let's get to the Con Man. 1440 update brought to you by BIE Engineering, specializing in all your residential, commercial, and industrial structural engineering needs. Go to BIEENG.com. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
No games on the ice tonight in the NHL, but the playoffs do kick off tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock puck drop as the Hurricanes take on the Islanders down in Raleigh. And then at 6 o'clock, you got the Bruins and Maple Leafs, 6 o'clock in Boston. The Oilers get it all going on Monday when they host the LA Kings in Game 1. In the association tonight, playing games, the Heat lead the Bulls 42-27 in the second quarter. If the Heat do win tonight, that will take them into the 8th seed where they'll meet the Boston Celtics in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Later tonight, Pelicans taking on the Sacramento Kings. Winner of this one gets the number 1 seed OKC in the West. Major League Baseball Blue Jays, just under 2 hours away from first pitch as they take on the San Diego Padres down in Southern California. 7:40 official start time. The two teams meet tomorrow at 6:40, then Sunday at 2:10. You can listen to both those games right here on Sports 1440. Coverage beginning just before each game, 10 minutes prior, only on the radio feed. Elsewhere on the majors tonight, Angels and Reds tied at 1 apiece midway through the 6th. In the 5th, the Red Sox on top of the Pirates 5-0. White Sox trail the Phillies 7-0. The Yankees and Rays currently scoreless. Astros have a 3-1 lead over the Nationals in the bottom of the 4th. And the Rangers and Braves tied at 1 apiece. Later tonight, Twins, Tigers, Brewers in St. Louis. Dodgers host the Mets, and the Diamondbacks take it on the Giants. Earlier today, Cubs victorious over the Marlins. 8-3 in the WHL. We've got 3 playoff games tonight. Moose Jaw with Current, Portland's and Everett, and PG hosting Kelowna. And in the BCHL playoffs getting going here, we've got the Sherwood Park Crusaders hosting Blackfalds. That one gets going just after 7 o'clock down to the Sherwood Park Arena. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. We've got Fox Sports Radio coming up at 9 o'clock. And then tomorrow morning, it's a Saturday Sports set up at 9 a.m., followed by Paul Sir, Brian, and Ryan on the Basketball Show. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.